Now, it's our time again. Here we go.
To be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself. To protect your brother, even from himself. To give support at your own expense. And when wearing the black and gold suit of armor, and make sure nobody desecrates it, disrespects it. Most importantly, we ourselves don't dishonor it. From previous legends who have donned the black and gold. These virtues I learned while playing for the Steelers are what make the legacy of the black and gold timeless. They are passed down in the locker room from the steel curtain to anyone who valiantly wears the black and gold. Creating a brotherhood that is deeper than money, business, and winning. To be a Steeler is to consider others before you consider yourself. This is our culture, Steeler culture. Now, here are your hosts, Rob and Dan, the Steel Twins.
Steeler Nation, what is going on? Thank you guys so very much for joining us on this Thursday night for another edition of the Steeler Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. Steeler Nation, we are just 2 days away from the official 2025 NFL Draft. Just by the second, we are inching closer to the 21st overall pick, where we will see the Pittsburgh Steelers potentially take their next Pittsburgh Steeler at said pick, or they could potentially do something else with the pick. They could trade up, they could trade back. Who knows at this point, but we are just inching closer and closer to Thursday night, Danny.
We want to talk about the defensive side of the football today. Yesterday, we discussed the offensive side of the ball. We're discussing the quarterback situation and their options there, and the plenty of options they've looked. Same thing for running back, receiver. Today's subject will be the defense, specifically mostly the defensive line, because as the title shows, and there's a poll in the chat for you guys, do you think the Steelers go defensive line in the first round? It's been a position that has been very consistent in our mocks, where we go defensive lineman in the first quarter, or first round.
First round. Every single mock we've done 4. Every single one we have done defensive line in the first round.
And I'll be real with you, man. Their options in the first round, they got 3 very good options. I'll even say 4. If you want to include like a Darius Alexander who's getting first round talks. I wouldn't draft him at 21, but I'm going to include him in there. They got 3 to 4 defensive line options, but they've only shown interest in about 1 realistic option at 21, and that's Derrick Harmon. Is that going to deter them away from the defensive line position? Are they going to look at a Walter Nolan? Are they going to look at a Kenneth Grant? They very well could. The difference between those two and Derrick Harmon is Derrick Harmon was brought in for a top 30 visit. So is the interest going to still be there for Nolan, who Andy Waddle went to his pro day, and they did bring in his teammate J.J. Pegues for a top 30 visit? Are they going to show interest in a Kenneth Grant, where they love their Michigan Wolverines?
Yes, they do.
They love their guys from Bush from so many years ago and Roman Wilson last year. You also got to think, discussing the defensive side of the football for the Steelers and them drafting defense potentially early in the first round. Keep in mind, guys, we haven't taken defense in the first round since 2019 with Devin Bush. Been a while.
I actually forgot all about that.
Well, think of it. 2020 was Chase Claypool with the first pick. 2021 was Najee Harris.
Yep.
2022 was Kenny Pickett. 2023 was Broderick Jones. 2024 was Joey Fatano.
That's right. That's
It
right.
has been 6 years since they have taken defense in the first round. Could that change in a matter of 48 to 50-something hours from now?
Very well could, man. I mean, they have looked at a plethora of defensive linemen, and we all know that this defensive line group, this draft class, is loaded with talent. I mean, you could take a defensive lineman realistically anywhere in the draft at any round, and you get a pretty capable starter, a very good starter at that. So goes to show how stacked it is. The defensive line, the Steelers, of course, they cut Larry Ogunjobi just a month ago to clear cap space, but now there's an open gap, an open hole in the defensive line to where the Steelers, of course, need to address.
Yeah, but discussing defense potentially going in the first round, that's not the only position they've looked at. They've looked at safety with a Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina who will go in the first round, or is projected to go in the first round. And then, listen, safety has been another of those positions. We'll discuss it later on as well. Safety is another one of those positions the Steelers have secretly looked at intensively.
Yep.
They didn't bring in a ton of names for top 30 visits, but you look at some of the top safeties in the draft class, most of Tomlin and Khan's pro day visits are of those safeties of those schools they're coming out of. So it's worth noting. You also got to look at corner. They brought in Darius Alexander, they brought in Brandon Echols, but is that going to deter them away from taking corner very early, especially when they brought in Trey Amos from Ole Miss? Ole Miss got a lot of talent coming out of school this year.
Yes,
they looked at Trey Amos, and they looked at Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State.
Florida State cat, man. Very good cornerback.
One of the younger corners, but is definitely rising and getting some serious top pick contention. So the Steelers, man, like we mentioned yesterday on the offensive side, they're looking at every potential area. They're looking at every option available. They brought in so many names. They brought in so many guys of serious contention. They could go anywhere, which makes the pick at 21 very unpredictable as of now. Come draft night and as everything starts intensifying, and especially with the Shedeur Sanders watch, as that'll be the most intensive prospect that everyone will be talking about, that everyone will be looking at, especially the live broadcasters. It'll be interesting to see where he lies and how far he falls. But as of now, where we stand, I can't tell you where they're gonna go at 21. They could go running back. They could trade back, go running back. They could trade back. They could go defensive line. They can go defensive line at 21. They could very well go quarterback with a guy like Sanders if he falls.
Yeah.
They could go corner. They might go safety. We don't know what the future holds for Minka. We don't know what the front office is thinking.
Yeah, and it goes to show the Steelers have, again, they scaled the entire platform. They're looking at every other option, as, again, you would expect them to do. It's their job to do so. They want to look at every option available when it comes to 21. It could very well be best player available situation. It could be position of need situation for the Steelers. They're just doing their job, and they're not going to close the door on any possibility. We may have our preference, specifically defensive line, as we've been adamant throughout the whole offseason, but nonetheless,
Pittsburgh Steelers #1 fan with a 2 says draft Dart now. Well, technically we can't.
it's a little early for that.
But same thing I can say for Sanders. Is Dart going to fall?
Well,
Could he be a top 10 pick, or should I say a top 9 pick?
yeah, I seen that wink you did there.
Just
Yeah.
saying. I'm just saying. The Steelers brought him in for top 30 visit. He'll be another quarterback within contention for that selection if he's there. But what's their preference? Where are they going to aim at? I don't think anybody knows. I love to be a fly on the wall in that war room. I love to be a fly on the wall in any meetings that they have, because I want to know as much as they know. But we're not going to know as much as they know until draft night.
Yep.
Be very interesting.
Again, we got 2 more days, bro. We're getting closer.
2 more days,
I
guys.
wish it was tomorrow. I really wish it was, so that we could just finally figure out, hey, who's going to be the guy? Who's the selection? What are the Steelers going to do?
Right.
We got to wait 2 more days. We're nearly there.
Still so far.
But we got to talk about the defensive side of the ball now.
We do, and I want to get into the chat a little bit. Again, there's a poll for you guys. Do you want the Steelers to draft defensive line in the first round? So far, 68% of you guys say yes. You guys do want the Steelers to go defensive line in the first round. Brick Laser in the chat says Nolan, Harmon, or Grant would feed families across Pittsburgh. Sure would.
Yes.
It sure would. I think any of those selections would be home run hitters for the Steelers. Patty Fool says we need another big snack Hampton nose tackle. I agree. That's a massive hole that we have on the defensive line. Although Mike Tomlin did kind of hint earlier that the nose tackle position is sort of a dying breed in today's NFL.
I actually agree with Tomlin about that. You know, when it comes to the nose tackle position, I mean, you need a big body guy that's just strong and quick at the same time with his size to stop the run. That's what Hampton was. Casey Hampton, big snack. He was for a number of years back during the old 2000 defense and whatnot.
Well, he also, when Tomlin said that, he also alluded to how the fullback position has seen a decrease in value. But will that deter Tomlin away from taking a nose tackle very early, like a Grant, like a Harmon?
Well, we got another super chat, though, from Azareye'h Alexander with a 10. Go on, you read it.
I'm sorry. SteelTwins says, I'm excited to see who the Steelers might get or who might fall. Fingers crossed that we trade back and get a second-round pick. I know this off topic. What were your thoughts on WrestleMania 41? Yeah, first of all, I do agree. I think trading back is still the best option, no matter who's going to be there.
Yeah, and Khan might have alluded that it's more of a possibility to trade back rather than to trade up.
Yes, he did say that. He says, well, 6 picks, the idea of trading up is very unlikely, but staying put, trading back is among their options.
Yeah.
He also mentioned that, yeah, he wants 2 more quarterbacks at the quarterback position since they only have 2, and they want 4 heading into camp.
Yeah, that's always their mission. They're going to try to do that. There's no doubt they're going to draft a quarterback. Again, it's just a matter of when.
He was asked, what are your thoughts? He was asked by a reporter. He said, what are your thoughts on the quarterback position? Do you think it has good depth there? And Omar Khan said, yeah, I think it's a good quarterback class. I think it's a good class. He kind of stuttered on his words
word for
a little
word,
bit.
bar for bar. I kind of got the sense by Khan, he's like, yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an honest answer by Omar Khan. That's just the impression I got. It's like, he's not going to say it's an awful class, but he's also not going to let you know how he really feels at the same time. That's what I got out of that answer.
No, Khan's just going to answer the question and get on with it. I mean, he's not going to spill the beans on everything about that. No GM or coach is going to do that leading to the draft.
No.
Unless it's the obvious.
But, Elijah, to answer your question, thoughts on WrestleMania 41. I thought the Mania itself was mid. Like, overall, as like both nights, it was mid. Night 2 was superior outside the main event. But the Raw after Mania last night, 10 out of 10 show.
Oh, the Monday Night Raw after Mania was excellent.
Or it was as close of a 10 out of 10 show you can get.
It was excellent. I mean, I enjoyed it more than both nights of WrestleMania, if I had to be real with you. I feel like that the segments that they did were, you know, the lead up to Backlash were very good.
Yeah.
A lot of great segments from last night. Dave's Archives #1 fan with a 5 says, I love my Pittsburgh Steelers no matter who we draft.
Yes. And I also want to make this known, man, 2 days in advance, and it won't be the last time I say it this week. Listen, you don't have to like who the Steelers draft. You know, it doesn't make you any less of a fan. You don't have to love who they draft. You can warm up to the idea, and I think that's a very common thing with a lot of players like Edmonds or Pickett, for example, even Najee for some people. Maybe they didn't like it initially, but they warmed up to it. But keep in mind, man, y'all don't have to like everyone that they select. Y'all can have your own personal opinions on a certain prospect, such as a Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
We've made our opinions known about him all month, and that's not going to change. That's not going to change. I wouldn't mind the selection. I would much rather defensive line. Just my personal preference.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, bro. I mean, like, not my preference, though. I wouldn't entirely hate on the idea. It's just a matter of what the coaching can do for a guy like Sanders and what a guy like Sanders and his talents can do for the Steelers at the same time. Those are the concerns there.
I just question his ceiling. That's all. Let's see where we at in the chat. Nose tackle is a dying position, not worth the value in round 1. Tomlin said it himself in the presser today. He did say that. Which is why I think if they're going to go defensive line, Harmon's the more likely pick based off of the top 30 visit and how he is going to be a bona fide 3-tech in the system.
Yeah. And when it comes to the defensive line, like I stated earlier, it's a stack class. So if they want to look for a later true nose tackle in the later round because of how stacked it is, because I could see them double dipping.
They should.
And I think that they should, yes. So they could look at another more capable defensive tackle in the later rounds rather than round 1 if that's their desire.
Right. Brick Laser says that cornerback from Notre Dame will be amazing if he can stay healthy. Yeah, Benjamin Morrison. In fact, Rob, you saw it right before we went live. There was a report that Benjamin Morrison had a private workout with several teams, and Steelers had heavy presence there. In fact, Terrell Austin was in attendance.
Yes, here's the actual tweet from Alex Kozara right here. Steelers had heavy presence to Arizona for Notre Dame cornerback Benjamin Morrison's Monday workout. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, senior scout Kelvin Fisher, and scout Matt McCrate all went to the private workout for Benjamin Morrison.
Very interesting that Kelvin Fisher was there because he's probably one of the more well-respected scouts since he was, I believe, the only representative at the Oregon Pro Day for Derrick Harmon and a Jamari Caldwell. And I believe he was there for Colorado's Pro Day.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So he has a lot of trust and a lot of input for sure. So the fact that they're both there, two serious guys with a lot of trust from the organization. And they sent the house to the Notre Dame Pro Day. Obviously, Benjamin Morrison didn't run drills that day, but I believe he was still present there. But they sent the house to the Notre Dame Pro Day. They sent everybody there. Tomlin, Kahn, Austin, Smith, I believe.
Yep.
They sent everybody there.
They sent the house to Notre Dame.
So now that they're looking at him before the draft in a private workout, I don't know how far he falls because of the injury, but if it ever comes down to a situation where it's trade back and they get a second-round pick and he's there, he's too hard to pass on because that's incredible value. Because keep in mind, if he never got hurt this year, you're looking at a bona fide first-rounder.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I mean, Morrison is a stud. He's got great size, speed, physicality. You know, he's good in both man and zone. He's a good tackler and whatnot. The guy's just a fabulous athlete and good player for his position and whatnot. And cornerback position is something that you and I have talked about throughout the offseason, even after they signed Slay and Eccles, is what's the future going to hold for them for the cornerback position? Slay and Eccles are only going to be here, specifically Slay, for this upcoming season. After that, it's still a huge question mark.
Right.
It's still a huge question mark on what they do for the cornerback position for the future. And looking at a guy like Morrison, I find that very interesting. And they could very well look at a possibility of trading back if they were to seek or find a trade partner. And if they were to get a reasonable pick back, like a second-round pick back, or even maybe an early day third-round pick back, if Morrison were to fall that far, I mean, that's great value to get a guy like Morrison.
That's unbelievable value. That's like Peyton Wilson all over again.
Yeah. Because I don't think he falls to 83, Morrison.
No.
I don't think that happens.
He's too good. He's too good.
Yeah.
But I love that they're showing interest, and that tells you, man, we just don't know where they're going. Anywhere.
Again, their options are all over the place.
Yeah, they are. Art in the chat says, who do you all want them to draft at 21 realistically? Derrick Harmon. Realistically, Derrick Harmon. I don't think Grant's an option no more. I don't think Nolan's an option no more. When was the last time the Steelers took someone in the first round that wasn't a top 30 visit?
I couldn't tell you.
Harmon, realistically, if we're talking D-line or my preference, Harmon, realistically, I think is my go-to. My go-to right now. I know everyone's really on the Shedeur Sanders train. I guess that's somewhat realistic as the days creep up.
It's being discussed as a quote-unquote realistic possibility.
Right.
I mean, Sanders has even kind of teased it himself just a couple hours ago as he was talking to Max Crosby. I'm not sure if you've seen that vid, Dan.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, and we'll get into the defensive side of football soon, but for those that don't know, there's this video going viral all over Twitter now, or X, that Shedeur Sanders, who was on the Rush podcast with Max Crosby, I guess Max Crosby asked him what are his top 5 quarterback wide receiver combos, and
Sorry,
shut up. And he mentioned Derek Carr and Chris Olave. He noticed whoever's going to throw the ball to George Pickens and DK Metcalf, and he also mentioned whoever's going to throw the ball to Malik Neighbors. Wow, what do all those 3 options have in common? The teams that are linked to Shedeur Sanders.
I see he did not mention Jerry Jeudy.
No, he did not.
I see he did not mention them.
No, he did not. For his sake, I'd hope not.
Yeah, but Sanders knows what he's doing.
Yes, he does.
I mean, it's blatantly obvious he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's adding fuel to the fire with all that discussion right there.
Well, he's also sounding very confident because
Sanders is going to bring that to the table, of course.
he's a Sanders.
He's a Sanders. He carries that through life and, of course, through football.
Right.
He carries that mentality. And Tomlin, I'll say real quick, he was very adamant about being very vocal
and praising Shedeur Sanders for how the interview went and for how his toughness is. You know, his toughness isn't talked about enough. His intangibles stuck out and whatnot.
Right.
A lot of praise coming from Mike Tomlin. And I don't think Tomlin and really anybody really outside of Kelvin Fisher, if he did go to the Colorado Pro Day, they haven't seen him throw in person as of yet.
No.
So, but I don't think that's still going to shy the Steelers, Mike Tomlin specifically, away from taking a guy like Sanders because of the fact that they had a top 30 visit with him. They kind of know how he is as a person, as a football player.
Right.
Still not going to prevent them from really looking at him and potentially taking him 21.
Right.
Just throwing it out there.
No, I mean it's going to be a serious option if he's there, and I've said it already. I'm going to say it again. If Sanders is there at 21, he's the pick. There's no way Mike Tomlin's going to pass on him.
It's either, to me, I'm going to say this right now. I'm probably going to say this throughout the rest of the week until 21 hits. It's either going to be Harmon or Sanders if both are there. Or if either one are there. If both are there, it's Sanders over Harmon. That's my gut feeling.
But my preference is Harmon over Sanders.
Yes, that's my not gut feeling. That's my preference too.
Yes.
The preference is defensive line. That's not changing.
Yeah.
But if Sanders and Harmon are there, Sanders is being the Steeler.
I agree, man. I agree. I mean, we'll see. Thursday's going to be interesting, and we still got 2 more days of speculation. 2 more days and however many hours left, man. Literally 48 hours from now, the Titans should be on the clock. I mean, they've been on the clock for so many months now, but officially they will be on the clock, and Cam Ward will inevitably be a Tennessee Titan.
And the Titans have admitted that they are not trading. They know who the pick is.
And they better not take no 9 minutes either. We all know how these go. Like what Joe Burrow and last year. Who's the first overall last year?
Fuck, who was? I'm having a brain fart. Who was it? Caleb Williams. Of course.
That's right, yeah.
Of course, yeah, the Bears.
Yeah, everyone in their sister-in-law's baby cousin Tracy knew that Caleb Williams was going to be the first overall pick, and the Bears still took 9 minutes. Makes no sense.
And it's going to happen again. You know it. Just expect it.
I know. Let's get into the defensive line discussion, man. Because we got to start with defensive line because I feel like that is probably one of the more realistic options when it comes to the pick at 21. If I had to give you position-wise the most realistic, like 3 top realistic, I'm thinking defensive line, quarterback, and the third one's a toss-up between either running back or receiver.
You think running back or receiver?
Yes.
I would say, because I do think that the third position is a toss-up, I would say running back, and to me, I want to close the book on cornerback.
Corner? Okay, listen, yeah. I don't hate that.
I want to close the book on that.
I don't hate that. But if we're gonna talk defensive line pick at 21, I mean, we've mentioned his name several times already. It's Derrick Harmon. Kenneth Grant, people are saying, I see you guys saying in the chat, he might not be there at 21, and you guys are probably right.
It's a high possibility.
People are saying he might not make it past the Cardinals, or my grandest fear is he's gonna go all the way to the Bengals. I hope not. But let's say Grant isn't there. Where does Walter Nolan fall? The Steelers haven't shown interest in him either. They've sent Andy Weidl, of all people, who prioritizes the trenches over anything else, to the Ole Miss Pro Day, and they did bring in J.J. Pegues, his teammate, for a top 30 visit, but not Walter Nolan. For what reasons? I mean, could it be character issues? Could it be lack of effort issues? Could it be how he is on the field? Could it be his pass rush inability? We don't know. But they haven't shown interest in Walter Nolan. So I'm going to cross those 2 off my list just based on the fact that they weren't brought in for top 30 visits.
Yeah, and now you did mention Waddle was there at the Ole Miss Pro Day, so he did, so to speak, get a glimpse of a guy like Walter Nolan, but they didn't bring in Kenneth Grant for a top 30 visit, kind of like what you and me were expecting, but I will say they did send Terrell Austin to the Michigan Pro Day.
Okay.
So Austin got a glimpse of that Michigan defense, of the playmakers they got, including Kenneth Grant. So I don't want to close the door on Grant being the selection at 21, but the fact that they didn't show as much interest in Grant and Harmon, I find it to be very telling, as it's blatantly obvious.
Right.
So.
Well, it's also interesting because you say they sent Terrell Austin to the Michigan Pro Day, they sent Andy Weidl to the Ole Miss Pro Day, and they sent Kelvin Fisher, a scout, to the Oregon Pro Day, and they still brought in only Derrick Harmon for the top 30 visit.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's if the Steelers are trying to think of their next 3 tech of someone that's going to bring an all-around atmosphere to that defensive line, an all-around game day performance,
to that position while still having the ability and probably the greatest chance that they'll have right now to replace Hayward while still having them being taught under Hayward and Carl Dunbar, the D-line coach. They have no better chance than doing that this year with a guy like Derrick Harmon if he falls, which I think is a very realistic possibility, which is why I'm very heavy on going Derrick Harmon right now. I think that would be a home run selection. I think that'd be the best pick for the Steelers to do as of now. And based on everything I just said, it just makes sense for the Steelers to do so. They don't have a starter there. They have no one after Hayward. They have no plan for life after Hayward. Well, now they can with a guy like Harmon. And then what do you do with Benton? Well, ideally, he would move over to 3-tech when Hayward leaves. You can keep Benton as the nose if you want him to. If you want to put Harmon as the nose early on, before he starts seeing time on a third down or pass rush situations, on passing downs, you could do that. Benton and Harmon are almost one and the same. It's just Harmon's just a little bit bigger, probably a little more faster. And I think his pass rush upside is a little more superior than a Benton. Yeah. Which is a good thing because those two together still being bred up from the defensive line core, that's what we need for the future at that position because we haven't had a great replacement since Stephon Tuitt retired. We don't have a plan right now for when Cam Hayward leaves. He's not going to be here forever. Yeah. He can still play, but how much longer is he going to play? They can do that in the first round by fulfilling life after him, selecting Derrick Harmon.
Yeah, they really can. I mean, they do have to think of the future of the defensive line because for years, the defensive line core was only getting older, and they have to get younger at that. And that started with the pick of Benton just a couple years ago, right? That started with Benton, and Benton, to me, he's turned out very solid. Some people may consider that he regressed a little bit compared to his rookie season. I see why people say that. I still find Benton to be a very good player. I feel like, they can still move him around the defensive line and he could still really show his capabilities, primarily as a pass rusher.
Agreed.
He does need to get better when it comes to wrapping up with tackles and stopping the run. That's what he's got to work on. But he's a very good, capable pass rusher. That's his best trait.
He's always getting pressure.
That's his best trait.
He needs more playing time, and I feel like him and Harmon are, like I said, one and the same. Just Harmon's a little more bigger and a little more fierce, a little more immediate.
And like you said, a little bit more. I think Harmon ran a faster 40 than Benton did.
Sure did.
And he's bigger than Benton. So
crazy athlete.
He's just very athletic and got a high motor and just high tenacity and just great mentality that he brings to the trenches. But the man's built for the trenches.
But you also notice defensive lineman is very stacked this year in the draft. So perhaps the Steelers don't need to feel pressure to take defensive line early when they know they have such an incredible stat class and they brought in how many names at the defensive line position?
For top 30 visits?
Yes.
They brought in 8 specific names for the defensive line position for top 30 visits.
Feel free to run down the list.
They brought in J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss, Walter Nolan's teammate. They brought in Yeha Black out of Iowa, Derrick Harmon out of Oregon, Jared Harrison Hunt out of SMU, Joshua Farmer out of Florida State, Elijah Roberts from SMU. So they brought in 2 SMU cats. Darius Alexander, Toledo, a little bit on the older side. I think he's 25 years old, but he is just fierce on the defensive line.
Sure
Very
is.
good player. And last but not least, Derrick Harmon's teammate, Jamari Caldwell out of Oregon.
I think all those options are great. And that just goes to show you just how stacked defensive lineman is. And that's excluding guys like a Tyleek Williams from Ohio State, or an Alfred Collins from Texas, or a Ty Robinson from Nebraska, or a Cameron Jackson from Florida. Those guys not being brought in, but goes to show you just how deep defensive line is. So if the Steelers don't want to take defensive line or say their preferred guy isn't there, they don't have to panic as much knowing that they could fall back anywhere in the draft and still get an absolute stud to fulfill that defensive line position. If they want to get a primary nose, that way they can move Benton to 3-tech opposite Hayward, you got so many guys you could use to fulfill that position. That is like a Pegues or a Black or a Caldwell or a Jackson from Florida.
Or an Alfred Collins or a Tyleek Williams, right? Or a Cameron Jackson if they really want to look at a true nose tackle in the later rounds.
Right.
They got, again, a lot of options. I can't recall the last time a defensive line group was this stacked in a draft class.
Couldn't tell you.
And the Steelers, man, I mean, I feel like there's no way that they can miss out on a starting caliber defensive lineman in this draft class.
No,
I think wherever they can take one, if they desire to take one round 1, or if they decide to wait in the later rounds, or if they double dip at defensive line, they could very well get a very good starting caliber defensive lineman.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I think double dipping is very important for the defensive line position because our depth the past couple years, no bueno. It's been a revolving door of the same dudes. DeMarvin Leal, who last year in training camp and preseason looked solid until he hurt himself.
And that's the thing about Leal. He was a 3rd-round pick and was it 2022?
Yeah.
And he just has not, one, lived up to the value, and his durability has not held up.
No.
He's versatile, and he's kind of showed glimpses here and there, but he's just not been consistent, 1, and 2, consistent staying on the field.
You also got to think he might move the edge full-time this year. Nobody knows. But
maybe.
You got Logan Lee, who didn't play a single game last year. Isaiah Loudermilk, who they brought back for some reason. They brought in a couple extra bodies in the offseason.
They still have Dean Lowry, who they brought in last year's offseason. They still have Montravius Adams, who's been a very, very good rotational defensive lineman for a number of years.
So yeah, you got to keep building the trenches. You got to add new phases and new bodies. You got to think about the future at that position. And with how stacked defensive line is, you have a great prime opportunity to get legitimately 2 very solid future starters on your line in the same draft class, depending on how early they draft the position twice, if they do so. So, for example, like we did in our previous mock, we took Harmon in the 1st and took Jamari Carwell in the 4th. You're talking your future 3-tech replacing Hayward, and you're talking your future nose on rundown situations.
Yep, and just bringing that duo together to the Steel City.
And that's just one example of how many other guys that they could bring in via the draft, depending on where they select them, to be a future standout on that line. Or even if he's just a depth piece for whatever, that's great for that position because you never know what's going to happen at that defensive line group.
No.
We've dealt with so many injuries there for so many years. You never know. Anything can happen at any given moment. So depth is very important, especially on the defensive line. I think us as Steelers fans are very aware of that. So I think double dipping on the defensive line is crucial this year. I would hope they do it very early in the draft. I know they have other needs to address. Perhaps that's where a trade back scenario comes into play. That way they have all the flexibility and extra picks to do so.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Steelers should really, really consider. If they want a nose, if they want some versatility, they got all the options in the world come 1st round, 3rd round right now, day 2, 4th, 5th round. They got options all over the place.
Yeah, and the goal for the defensive line has got to be, 1, you got to get pressure, right? You got to get quick pressure, especially if you're just running a 4-man rush as Austin constantly does. You got to get quick pressure up front, right? You got to be more consistent at that, first of all. Second of all, you got to stop the run. The Steelers have just been very inconsistent at stopping the run for a number of seasons.
It's been since Tuitt left.
It's been terrible. They have just not been able to stop the run.
Yeah.
They have to figure that out. And if there's a possibility, an opportunity for the Steelers to try to work out and kill 2 birds with 1 stone by double dipping at defensive line, you would ideally look to get a key pass rusher, a key pass rush defensive lineman like a Derrick Harmon, right? And then maybe in the later rounds, you look at a primary nose tackle to really fill the gap and stop the run.
Absolutely.
And you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You get a premier pass rusher, ideally, that can stop the run as well, capable of doing
Well,
that.
he's going to have to, yeah.
But the 2nd round, or the 2nd pick, 2nd defensive lineman, you get a primary run stuffer. And then you just fix the trenches, the defensive line right there, ideally, just based off how stacked it is.
That's kind of the route I would like them to go. Obviously, come draft time, things are going to happen. Things are going to change.
And it's more ideal, like you said, if they were to trade back. It would just be more digestible. It would just be more of an opening for the Steelers just to be able to do so.
Well, who's to say they don't take defensive linemen the first 2 days?
It's very possible.
I'm not ruling anything out.
Listen, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it because they have to get better at the defensive line. They got to get younger.
But names that we know that they have looked into and they have brought in are the top 30 visit guys that we mentioned, plus, of course, Kenneth Grant, Alfred Collins, CJ West, who's mad underrated.
From Indiana.
They had a combine visit with him. Tyleek Williams from Ohio State, who the Steelers sent the house to his pro day, so maybe they look at his direction, depending on where he falls. Tim Smith, another big body.
From Alabama.
Peyton Page, who I believe is from Clemson. They took him out for a pro day dinner.
Yep.
Vernon Broughton from, I think, Texas.
And they took him out for a pro day dinner as well.
And had a combine visit. Of course, Walter Nolan, Jordan Phillips from Maryland. You know the Steelers love their Maryland Cats. Ty Robinson, Cameron Jackson, even a Deion Walker from Kentucky.
Yep.
So much talent. So much talent.
I mean,
to choose from.
it's just names, man. It's like the long ass laundry list, bro.
So I have a great sense of trust that the Steelers are going to, no matter where they select a position, they're going to find a gem at the defensive line. They're going to find somebody that's going to be very productive for that football team on that defensive line, at the line of that front seven.
Yeah.
I am very confident the Steelers are going to do so. And the Steelers, Khan and Waddle especially, I feel like his influence isn't talked about enough. They prioritize the trenches.
Yep.
We talked about it yesterday. The last 2 draft classes that Khan has had, 7 of those picks included the trenches. I wouldn't expect that to change.
No, it's the common pattern. It's a common theme, and it's something that is obviously very successful for Philadelphia. It's worked out. It panned out for them greatly, and it's something that the Steelers are trying to duplicate. It's something that they're trying to do, which I'm all in favor for because they need to.
Right.
Because if you don't have the trenches, you're not a successful football team. You're not going to be able to win games without strong trenches.
Right. Somber, how you doing, bro? Says, Tomlin said the nose is a disappearing job like fullback. So does that roll out a J.J. Pegues type? I'd hope not. Now, I don't know if he's saying that by saying I'm not going to look at those players because it's a disappearing act, or is he saying that position is being undervalued?
I think that's
in
what
today's
Tomlin
league?
means. I think that's what Tomlin means. That's not being valued as much.
Yeah, what's the context of his comment there? Is he saying I'm not looking at those positions because it's disappearing, or is he saying that that's being undervalued by so many other teams? I don't know the context of it, but I wouldn't think that rolls out of J.J. Pegues. I mean, if you're looking for both, Pegues is your guy.
Listen, I mean, you brought in a guy like Caldwell and a Pegues who are pure nose tackles, but if you're going to throw out a statement like that saying, oh, it's a dying breed and whatnot, or it's a disappearing act and whatnot, that's not there anymore, then why'd you bring him in for top 30 visits? That's why I don't think it's like, hey, like, we're not going to look at those positions. I don't take Tomlin's words in that light. I think it's just like, hey, it's not as valued as much as we like to value it.
Well, regardless of the context, I think he's right. It is a disappearing act. It's a disappearing, part of the football game, of football in general nowadays. The fullback position should be used more often.
I mean, look at teams like the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Chargers. They utilize their fullbacks heavily.
Yeah.
And it's panned out greatly for their offense.
And yeah, the nose tackle position is sort of a dying breed. But I feel like it's so quintessential, especially in a 3-4 scheme where you need somebody in that middle to clog the lanes, to take on double teams, which is going to open so many other avenues for other players along that line, and along that front seven.
And I'm going to bring up the Eagles again because they have a guy like a Jordan Davis.
Big body,
big pure dude. Nose tackle, pure run stuffer, and he's just fantastic for Philadelphia.
And it opened up so much for a Zach Bond or the linebacker from Georgia, Nakobe Dean.
A Josh Sweat,
Milton Williams last year.
Yes.
So many other names.
I mean, look, even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Big body, strong, quick, pure nose tackle, and then everybody else just benefits off of that because, oh, shit, this is a big defensive tackle right in the middle here. We got to double team this guy.
Well, hell, I'll kick it back to 2008 and years before and even after that, Casey Hampton.
Of course. Guys like Aaron Smith and Brett Kiesel succeeded. Lamar Woodley and James Harrison, of course, they succeed because
even the linebackers, Larry Foote, Lawrence Timmons.
I mean, everyone's looking
James
at this
Ferrier.
big man in the middle of the trenches, like, oh crap, we gotta handle this guy. Like their focus is this dude, and then everybody else is going to benefit off of that.
A nose tackle is so quintessential, especially in a 3-4 scheme, that I think the Steelers should highly consider it. They could get one later in the draft, absolutely, and he's going to be a very situational player. He's going to be used on short down situations. He's going to be used on obvious rundowns, early downs. But that's what you need. You need them to stop those early plays. Otherwise, teams are going to run all over you. Otherwise, teams are going to be able to control the clock. You want to put them in bad situations early as you can. You want to limit them as much as possible. That's what a nose tackle does on those situations. Steelers can address that in the first, but if I would think they double dip at D-line, they could do that later on with a guy like Caldwell or a Jackson or anyone else along that defensive line group, which plenty full of names to choose from. And it's like putting your hand in a hat with names and taking one out. Either one, I think you're going to win. So Steelers, man, they got their hands full in terms of looking at all the options, but so many options to choose from.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
Neither are bad options, man. Again, it's just a stacked class.
It really is.
A lot of talent. And no, this is actually Debo, James Harrison.
Yeah, it's Debo.
Yeah, Debo.
Yeah, it's his Debo shirt.
Yeah, it's badass.
It's like his favorite shirt, man.
Yeah, it's badass, yeah.
All roads lead to a nose tackle. I mean, it could, but also roads could lead to a quarterback. But I do think defensive line is still going to be the pick. At the end of the day, I do think defensive line is going to be the pick. And that could, I don't know if it's going to be a nose tackle primarily. Maybe if they brought in Grant, it could be, but maybe later on. Either way, I think they're going to prioritize defensive line this year. I think it's a necessity, and I think they have to.
There's no doubt they will. There's the amount of top 30 visits they brought in. Same thing with the on the offense we talked about yesterday, running back. There's no doubt they're drafting a running back.
Right.
Just like there's no doubt they're drafting defensive line.
Now, let's discuss the cornerback position.
Heading into the secondary.
Let's discuss the cornerback position. Because, yeah, they brought in 2 names, and it's what they needed to do. They needed to bring in an outside guy and a slot weapon. They needed to bring in 2 new faces, 2 new vets. They did. It may not be the most ideal names, but they did what they had to do, which is bring in faces and bring in guys that are going to fill different roles in that defensive back room. Does that stop them from taking cornerback at all or early? They've looked at 2 early names. They sent some scouts and Terrell Austin to Benjamin Morrison's workout in Arizona today.
Yep.
Maybe they do go corner pretty earlier than we thought. And listen, corner early on's got some serious names.
Yes, it does.
They got some serious names, man. And there's a lot of names I really like. Like they brought in Trey Amos or Amos from Ole Miss, Azareye'h Thomas from Florida State, Benjamin Morrison's from Notre Dame. I love Jahdae Barron. And I would ideally have him as my best player available selection at 21. If he's there, I don't want no one else but Jahdae Barron.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be there, but that's just me.
He wasn't there for a top 30 visit. He wasn't brought in for that, but they did have a pro day dinner with Jahdae Barron. So they are looking at him. I would love Jahdae Barron. If he is there at 21, that's best player available. No doubt about it.
Or how about a Siobhan Revel from, I think, East Carolina?
Yes.
I don't know how much interest they have in him. I don't know if they've looked too far into him, but that's another name. Of course, Maxwell Hairston was a Darian Porter from Iowa State. They looked at a ton of Iowa State cats. They brought in 2 of their receivers.
That's right.
Could they look at his direction? I know he's a little on the older side, and he's a little inexperienced, only 1 year starting experience at corner. He's still trying to learn the position, but I don't think Mike Tomlin and the Steelers shy away from that. Does anyone remember a Justin Lane? That didn't work.
I'd rather not.
That didn't work out.
I'd rather not.
You got Quincy Riley, Kobe Bryant. Shout out to Kobe. You got Zaw Frazier, who the Steelers have looked at. I think they had did they have a meeting with him somewhere as a pro day dinner, I believe?
I think I read something along the lines like that. Yeah, they showed some interest towards him.
There's Justin Wally they brought in for a top 30 visit. There's a Denzel Burke from the Ohio State.
Yep.
Plenty of options as well. Corner is one of those positions I just don't know if they take or where they take. Like, it's almost the same thing with wide receiver to me. And maybe quarterback. Like, we know they're going to go quarterback. But where? At least with wide receiver and corner, they've looked at names. There's plenty of names there. But will they take one? And if they do, where?
Yeah.
That's where I'm confused is it's probably suggested they do take a corner, build more depth. You don't know if Corey Trice can stay healthy. They brought James Pierre back. We don't know what Ryan Watts is going to do. Lord knows what the future holds for Joey Porter Jr. Is he going to pan out properly? Darius Slay's only here for a year.
Yeah,
they don't have a plan after that. Maybe that's Corey Trice.
Yeah, I do want to dive into who we have in the cornerback class or a cornerback group right now, who the Steelers have. Of course, JPJ, Darius Slay, Beanie Bishop, those are the ideal starters, most likely. Of course, they brought back James Pierre. They still have Corey Trice. His durability needs to live up. Brendan Eccles, who they brought in via free agency. Ryan Watts, he's that cornerback safety hybrid. I don't know exactly which position they're going to have him primarily. I'm just going to throw his name in there. I mean, they have names in there. They have guys that can do their assignments to a degree, at least on paper. So when it comes to the cornerback position in the draft, the Steelers are doing their due diligence. They're looking at cornerbacks and basically, all over the platform, via first round and, through round 7, basically.
Right.
They're really scanning the field. They're looking at their options. Just like Dan, I don't know if they actually go cornerback.
Well, if they do, they've looked at some of the earlier options. I just don't know how realistic that is, knowing that they could go quarterback or D-line. You still got to consider running back as an earlier option potentially.
Indeed.
So corner could be put on the back burner, and if they do, there's still some options day 3 I really like. I'll even throw in a Noah Williams. I doubt Jacob Parrish falls to round 4, but I feel like if he's there in round 4, he's too hard to pass on.
I think that'd be a great value at round 4.
Quincy Riley's mad underrated. Like we mentioned, Justin Wally is one of their later guys that they've looked at, and he's starting to get a lot more steam looking his way, as he should.
And he's a good player, yeah, very underrated.
Very underrated. So the Steelers could look at him as a later option if they wanted to.
And I know that the Steelers' history in the Mike Tomlin era when it comes to cornerbacks.
Yeah, I'm glad you made that specific.
It doesn't matter if it's first round, second round, 4th round, 7th round. They can't draft cornerbacks. They can't even develop cornerbacks.
No, when was the last good defensive back or corner that Steelers have developed?
I'm not even throwing Cam Sutton's name in there, all right?
No.
His last season was just pure trash.
Yeah, that tainted everything.
It did.
It tainted everything.
I'm not even going to go down the names that they selected or that they experimented on. All of them have been garbage. The only ones that have panned out were free agents. Joe Hayden panned out. Steven Nelson panned out, though he was here 2 years. I would say he panned out. He brought good credibility, good play to the game, right? Mike Hilton, he was a free agent. He panned out very well until the Steelers opted to let him go,
right,
for some odd reason. Am I missing anybody else?
If you want to throw in a Pat Pete, maybe it's borderline.
Yeah,
borderline.
He was here a year. He was here. By the way, happy retirement to Pat Pete.
Yes, because he did just retire with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. Darius Slay, I think, is going to pan out, but it's just a 1-year rental. It's almost like a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Which is all they've done for the cornerback position for so many years. So I think trying to plan for the future isn't a bad idea. And I think this year they could do that.
And just based off their bad history with drafting and developing cornerbacks under Mike Tomlin, I don't think that should shy the Steelers away. And I don't think it will, to be real. It won't shy the Steelers away from still trying to look at cornerbacks and drafting a cornerback and developing a cornerback. Right. That's not going to shy them away, considering that Gerald Alexander is our primary defensive backs coach, and wherever he's been, whether he was an assistant defensive back coach or even a safeties coach with the Raiders last year, everywhere he's gone, he's actually left his mark and impact and made players a lot better.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought him back into this room because I think he'll have a positive influence for sure.
Yeah, so based off his resume, I do feel good about Alexander being the primary defensive backs coach, trying to get these guys to pan out and really reach some sort of level of upside.
Right.
It's just a matter of, again, if the Steelers are really going to look at cornerback heavily in the draft, whether it's for round 1 for an ideal replacement to Darius Slay or for a developmental guy in the later rounds. Again, cornerback is one of those positions that's a toss-up for me. I have no idea if they're going to look, but I do like that they are looking at the position.
They are, and they're looking at, earlier options. They're looking at later options, which is a good thing. Somber, that's exactly why we didn't mention his name.
Who?
Remember that bench wall sign we had? I forget where. I think we threw that away.
Yeah, that's
We don't want no reminiscence of a Wallace or Levi Wallace. Shout the mic. We don't want no reminiscence of Levi Wallace over here.
Yeah, Somber. He was not great.
No. And Jay, I agree. Yeah, Wally is rocking up the mock boards for sure.
Indeed.
I mean, he's a freak. He's a freak athlete. He's a hell of a corner. Great ball skills, intense instincts,
and in and out versatility.
Yes, love that. Steelers love that in their guys, and I think he fits that to a T. I think he'd be a very, very good fit. I think he'd be someone that could be almost like a Corey Trice again. Obviously not as big, but maybe he can stay healthy, and maybe he's someone that they could take later that could build their way up through the roster that the Steelers are going to have a ton of faith in. And I think that's what they're trying to do now with bringing in a guy like Darius Slay to teach a JPJ and teach a Ryan Watson, of course, a Corey Trice. Maybe they want to prime Corey Trice up to be that next guy. I don't know. Lord knows.
Yeah.
Obviously, Beanie Bishop. Can't forget Beanie Bishop.
No.
Yeah, he had a good rookie year last year. She got more playing time towards the end.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
But, yeah, I mean, corner is just one of those positions that I don't know where they go or if they ever go the position. I think they should. They don't have as many picks to do it, which is, again, why trading back should be highly considered. But will they? Time will tell.
It will.
But I think they have a good number of options this year to choose from compared to previous draft classes. Well, next year's a good class too, but I think this year, if they want to add extra bodies or they want to think of, a piece that they could build up through the roster, they got good options this year, and they've looked at those options.
Yeah, if they have no other positions to really address, or if it's a talent that falls to their lap that they can't pass up on, for sure. I mean, it's a very underrated cornerback group, in my opinion.
I also think, though, that they're going to go into this season comfortable with where they're at. Where if JPJ, Darius Slay on the perimeter, they got Beanie Bishop and Eccles working in the slot. You got Corey Trice as the dime guy in rotations. You got Ryan Watts probably most likely playing safety. I think they very much like where they're at in the cornerback room. They got the bodies that they need. They got the depth. It may not be the most convincing, but I'll tell you right now, I'm more pleased with this cornerback room on paper right now as we stand than I was with last year's. So maybe the Steelers feel the same way. Maybe they don't go corner at all. But they're looking at the position, and I love that they're looking at all their options.
Yeah.
They're not just being complacent. They're still thinking, what if this guy falls? What's our value here? What can we do with this guy? I love that about the Steelers, man. Moving on, let's do safety. Safety is another one of the positions, man. It's just like corner. Maybe they should take one. Because you got to look at it from the Steelers aspect. Minka is, 29? Well, he's going to be 29 soon, whatever his age is now. He's getting up there. And you could arguably say he's regressing right now. Not looking good. He's not all bad. He's not like Sean Davis. He's not Will Allen. No. He's not Mike Mitchell. No. He's not Shamarko Thomas.
Minka is not terrible. He's far from it, right? I'm not even going to say Minka's garbage. He's not.
And I'll say he is being underutilized. Thanks, Terrell Austin.
I think half of that is the reason why he's regressed. They're constantly having him play high safety, single high safety. He's nowhere near the middle of the field. Which is why the middle of the field gets completely demolished. It's a massive gap, massive hole there. Minka's not down there. You're not moving Minka around ideally to where he can be all over the defense, all over the field. You have him covering the deep ball, which, you have the deep ball protected, but there's nothing in the middle.
There's not.
And you're having these cornerbacks constantly play zone. Like, who remembers Corey Trice against Jamar Chase?
They're out there to die. They're literally out there to die.
They're there to fend for themselves. It's like they're on the island by themselves.
So, no, it's not all Minka, but you also got to think of his age and his contract situation.
Yeah, based off his production, despite his usage, his production and his cap hit, it doesn't live up.
No, it doesn't. So it makes you think, the cap goes up every year, and I'm sure the Steelers will have some decent cap space to work with. They still got to extend Watt. They will probably extend Pickens, maybe, question mark. But, they're still going to have a certain number of cap space to work with. So perhaps they can keep Minka at his price if they don't want to move on from him. But what if they do want to move on from him? Could they select a safety? You also got to think, Juan Thornhill, very good backup, very well capable of being a starter on this team, can be the third guy this year, but is only here for a year. Deshaun Elliott, who should definitely see a pay increase and a well-deserved extension.
Yes, without a doubt.
He's in here for 1 year. I don't think he leaves, but what if he does?
I hope to God he don't leave.
You're looking at a safety room that could very well be very much different next year. And no backup plan. Could the Steelers find a backup plan this year? They've only brought in one safety worth serious contention, and that's Nick Emmanwori, who's getting first-round talks and is projected to go night one. But you also look at all of the safeties going into this year's draft class. You look at all the names. You look at their schools. The Steelers have been very present at a lot of their schools. You look at Texas and Andrew Makuba, who I would love in the third round.
And they took him out for a pro day dinner. The Steelers did.
They did. They could look at him. I think Tomlin and Khan at least were at the Texas pro day. You look at Malachi Starks, who's going to be potentially another first-round safety. They sent the house to the Georgia Pro Day. You look at Xavier Watts, who's going to be a stud. They sent the house to the Notre Dame Pro Day. Yep. You see a trend here. A lot of these guys, they've sent the house to their pro day. So I'm not saying they're going to go safety early. And again, thinking of quarterback, D-line, running back, I don't know if they can with the picks they have, which goes back to them potentially trading back. Maybe they do it. I don't know. But all I'm saying is they've looked at some of these safeties. They've sent the house to a lot of these pro days that have some of the top safeties in this draft. Could they look at potentially going safety early? Could they potentially look at going safety at some point in this draft? They even got some day 3 options. R.J. Meekins from Clemson.
Yep.
I mean, I think they sent the house to the Clemson Pro Day. They didn't take Meekins out for dinner. They only took out their running back and the defensive lineman out, but they sent the house to his pro day.
They looked at a Jalen Reed from Penn State.
They obviously sent the house to the Alabama pro day. Love Malachi Moore.
Yep.
Love him day 3. So, I mean, they got options. Jordan Hancock. I mean, he's not really a safety. He's more of like a slot piece, but safety, corner mix. They sent the house to a Ohio State pro day. Could they look at taking him day 3 potentially? It all goes back to them just keeping all options on the table and them doing their due diligence. But I see a trend here that maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe they go safety early. Maybe, most likely they don't, but I don't want to rule it out. And depending on who's on the board and what falls, I feel like the value there sometimes will be just too hard to pass on. And sometimes you just got to take best player available, regardless of who you have, regardless of what's there. You also got to think about the future. You just never know, especially at the safety position. You never really get too complacent, especially with how our safety group is right now and what the future could hold. I don't think they go safety early, but I like the fact that they're looking at some safeties. They brought one in for a visit, and a lot of their pro days have some of the top safeties coming into this NFL draft class.
Some of the highest pedigree safeties come into this draft class. When it comes to the top 30 visits of all positions on both offense and defense that they have shown heavy interest in, that's quarterback, running back, wide receiver, that's defensive line, that's cornerback, and that's safety. Right?
What, Shiloh? No.
No.
He might be the most unathletic.
I'm cool.
He might be one of the most unathletic Sanders, man. I don't know if he's more unathletic than Shador, but he definitely ain't got his daddy's genes in him.
That man will, if I had to make a prediction, that man will be a priority undrafted free agent.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's Mr. Irrelevant. If Dion gets on the phone with one of these owners and says, my boy better be drafted today.
I'm not the biggest fan of Shiloh.
He's not good.
I don't want Shiloh.
I would much rather take a Hunter Wohler from Wisconsin.
I like Hunter Wohler, yeah.
I do too.
I think he'd be a good special teams guy.
I agree. But no, hard pass on Shiloh.
No, but the positions that they've looked at, I would say safety is, in my opinion, the bottom of the list when it comes to the other positions.
I agree.
That's quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive line, cornerback, and then safety, right? That's about 6 positions. I would say safety is at the bottom of the list there. That's the bottom tier. But it's not completely off the table. It's not completely off the board when it comes to the Steelers, because you look at the pedigree of these safeties and the talent, the athleticism they bring, especially a guy like a Nick Emmanwori. The guy stood out at the combine.
Athletic freak.
He's speedy. Ran a 4.3 something, 4.38, 4.39, whatever. Had a 43-inch vertical jump. 20 bench reps. I mean, he is a pure athlete.
Combine monster,
he's 6'3", 220 pounds, 225 pounds. I mean, he's a linebacker built safety.
Right.
He is an athlete. He's got tremendous athleticism, great build. He stands out on the football field. He's not the perfect football player, though. He's got some nicks he's got to work out, especially in the run game department.
Yeah, I think
he's got to be a consistent tackler at that.
I think his combine might have sparked up a little too much hype for him.
Yeah, because I've heard comparisons of the fact that he could turn out like a Derwin James or even a Kirby Joseph, two standout all-pro safeties.
For sure.
Or he could turn out into an Isaiah Simmons. We all know what happened to Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, massive disappointment.
Yeah, so like, and there's been who remembers Obi Melifonwu? How many years ago,
I do.
Right? Stand out at the combine, great athleticism, didn't really turn out in the NFL. There's a lot of, athletic and versatile safeties that stand out with their size and athleticism, but just don't pan out on the football field. That's the chance that many teams are going to take with a guy like this, but there's a ceiling with a guy like him.
Right.
Do the Steelers look at him? Obviously they did. They're really going to weigh their options. They're really going to look at how they're going to deal with him. And I believe one of the defensive coaches or scouts were looking at him, if I'm not mistaken.
You mean
I think that was Gerald Alexander.
At the South Carolina Pro Day?
If I'm not mistaken, I think Gerald Alexander was at the Pro Day. So that's very telling, right? That's very telling that he went to the Pro Day. So maybe the Steelers, it could just be due diligence. It could be something else. We don't know.
I think that's exactly what it is. I'm not really going to consider Emmanwori as a realistic option at 21.
And believe me, I'm not either. I'm not either. Honestly, when it comes to the concerns, I think it'd just be too big of a risk. And considering the other needs that we got to address,
Well, I
just don't think it's ideal.
I think it'd be a bit of a reach too.
I just don't think it's, especially at 21. Yes, I agree.
Right.
I don't think it's ideal. That's why I say it's at the bottom tier. But it's the fact that they're looking, like you said, it could be something. Maybe we're looking too much into it. It could be something. It could be nothing. But it's the fact that, hey, they're looking at it because the uncertainty at safety for the future, it's something to really bring up because, again, we don't know what exactly the safety position holds for the future, what it's going to look like heading even to next offseason, honestly.
I agree. And that's where our thought process is about safety is you just never know what the future holds there.
I would like Minka to get back to old Minka ball, to being utilized around the defense more so. I would love Elliott to be resigned because he fits like a glove with his style and how he is on the defense, being moved around.
Elliott's excellent.
He's just great.
Elliott is excellent to the point I might get his jersey.
He's just great.
He just breeds black and gold.
He makes 25 pop out.
Sure does.
Like, it's the players that make the number. He makes that number pop out.
Sure does.
And he just knows how to pop a defender, especially in the run game department. Elliott's great. I would love nothing more than the Steelers to assign him to a 3-year deal, right?
I agree. Jay in the chat says a lot of teams are using safeties as slot corner now, like Makuba. He's like 190. Yeah, he's a little undersized. Not the best tackler either, but good coverage skills, great ball skills, ball hawk.
And if there's a position for Emmanwori to really stand out and pan out, it's being the big nickel, playing the big nickel.
Sure. You also look at what the Lions are doing with Brian Branch.
Yes.
Phenomenal safety. One of the best slot weapons in the league for
just
defense.
Phenomenal, man. I was always a fan of Branch coming out of Alabama.
What could have been? I hope JPJ works out, but Branch was always the better ball player.
I still love JPJ, but Branch was the better prospect.
I agree.
Just my opinion.
I agree, but Tomlin and them weren't going to go away from the good, feel-good story. But
of course.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. You could just take a safety and turn him into a potential slot weapon. Maybe you want to work Minka more in the slot. Thornhill can play deep, or you want to bring in someone else that could potentially play that role. You could do the same thing. You want to take one of these safeties that are very worthy in the slot, like a Malachi Moore or like a Jordan Hancock or someone along those traits. You could do that day 3. That way you can still adjust the position and still use their versatility very much along that defensive scheme in certain packages.
Yeah, I would say day 3 is for sure a bigger possibility, of course, when it comes to safety. But just like cornerback, again, I don't know if they actually do select safety.
That's my trouble is I would like them to address it. I just don't know if they do, and if they do, where. The massive unknown. But because you gotta look at the needs like D-line, quarterback, running back, maybe O-line, double dip at D-line potentially.
Wide
receiver. There's only so much they can do with 6 picks right now.
Yeah, and the Steelers are not going to fix everything when it comes to this draft class.
It's impossible.
They couldn't last year, and there's no way they do it again this year.
You also got to think that what they don't address, they will address after the draft. They will be signing whoever's available.
And that's the norm when it comes to every football team.
That's how Casey got here. After the 2022 NFL draft, they signed Casey. Or like a Chandon Sullivan after the 2023 draft, they signed him to fulfill a spot. Some of these positions they just can't fill in the draft, so they're going to go after some of the more available weapons or the available names in free agency, and that's not going to change this year.
No, it's not.
That's why Colin likes to have more cap space for not only the rookies, but obviously more options after the case.
Yeah,
maybe he drafts a quarterback this year at some point. I think that's inevitable. Well, you got to sign somebody to be the 4th guy, right? That could be an undrafted free agent, or maybe he wants someone with a little more experience.
Khan's been adamant about bringing in a quarterback with true veteran experience. The only 2 I can think of are basically the 2 best options. It's not saying much, but it's A-Rod or Carson Wentz. That's basically it.
Hard pass on both.
Who else is out there?
That's just me.
Steelers got a decision to make. There's no doubt they select a quarterback.
Speaking of which, we'll get into Aaron Rodgers because I've been thinking about him a little bit today.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Aaron. Hi, Aaron. I've been thinking about you. No, but I want to get into him just a little bit. But first, I want to get into the chat. There's a new poll for you guys. Should the Steelers double dip at defensive line? So far, 82% say yes, they should.
82%. Wow.
And I see Danielle in the chat. What's up, Danielle? Good to see you in the chat as always.
What's up, Danielle?
Tannehill. No. Yeah,
I thought he retired or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Tom was there. It says Tannehill, but also yuck. Yeah, absolutely not.
I'm good.
I'd rather Wentz, and I don't want Wentz. I definitely don't want Wentz. No, hard pass on that. Jamal says I just got a Ryan McCollum jersey. That's great. Shout out to Ryan McCollum, man. People forget last year when Frazier was hurt for 3 games, McCollum stepped in and Najee had his 3 best games of the season.
Yeah, and that was before the bye week too, if I remember correctly.
It
And
was.
McCollum. I mean, he's been a guy that's been built up from the practice squad to being the now primary backup center.
Right.
I mean, tell the story for McCollum. Good for him.
Yeah, he signed a tender, and Warren officially signed a tender today.
So, yep.
So we're getting those 2 back, which is good. Somber says if they entertain a trade down for an extra day 2 pick, I could see a double dip at D-line. I could see it in general. I think it's necessary.
I love it.
But it's a lot more open if they do trade back. Before I get into Aaron Rodgers, I want to discuss the trade back situation. And I know that's more so for tomorrow because tomorrow we'll be live around the same time. We'll be live tomorrow night discussing all of the first round talk, the options, who could be there, trade back scenarios, your guys' opinions. We'll obviously have a mock drafts simulator. That's more so for tomorrow. But I want to get into that a little bit today with the chat. How likely do you think a trade back situation happens? Because I know we always entertain it every year. Oh, what if the Steelers trade back and get this and that back, right? Like last year, we had an extra day 2 pick because we traded Kenny for it.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was saying, what if we trade up? We didn't trade up. We stayed put. We stayed put in general all last year. This year, we don't have a day 2 pick, or a second round pick, rather. I know we always entertain the idea of them trading back, but do you honestly think that trading back is a very realistic possibility? Because I do. I think it's very advised. I think there's so much talent that they've looked at. I think there's more holes that we could address that trading back should 100% be an option on the table, and it should be the first option on the table, no matter who is on the board.
Yeah.
It should be the first option for the Steelers is, all right, we're on the clock. Who's ringing our phones?
Yeah, and you look at not just the top 30 visits that the Steelers brought in for both offense and defense, but the other names that they have shown interest in, whether that's from looking at them via the pro day visits or even the combine visits or the formal meetings.
Right.
A lot of that is day 2, day 3 talent.
A lot of it. That's wide receiver, that's running back, that's even corner.
So that could be, I think, to me, that's very telling on how they feel about exactly where they want to select.
Right.
Considering they don't have a second, right? They only have the first and the third. They only have 2 picks within the first 2 days.
Right.
It is ideal. If they can find a trade partner, it is ideal to trade back. If you can get a second, phenomenal. Great job. Round of applause. If you could get at least a third, so you have 2/3, I'll take it. As long as you get an extra pick back for day 2.
Right.
And if you can still keep your first, which I think they still can, you trade back, still get a first while getting ideally a second, but if you can still get at least a third, I'll take it. It is ideal.
Either way, if they get a day 2 pick back, I'll be happy. But what could be their asking price? Could it just be, hey, we want a second, and if we don't get a second, we're going to take whoever's on the board because they're going to have an array of talent to choose from. It's crazy, man. It's very, very insane how much talent that they're going to be able to select from at pick 21. It really does depend how the board falls. But either way, I think trading back should be a serious in serious consideration. I think they need that extra second round pick or that extra day 2 pick, regardless of wherever it is. And I think there's going to be plenty of teams that are going to want to trade up, especially if they need a wide receiver, because the Chargers, a lot of people are mocking the Chargers to take wide receiver to pair with Ladd McConkey. I know they got Mike Williams back, but Mike Williams ain't going to be the complement to Ladd McConkey. And he's not at this stage of his career. They have no one else there. Quentin Johnston, I just think he's one of those, like, a go-long sort of guys. He's not a complete receiver.
Hands are too inconsistent.
Very inconsistent. He hasn't panned out. The Chargers could very well go receiver. Well, there's going to be plenty of receivers to choose from, I would think, at pick 21. And if a team wants to trade up, they could be calling the Steelers. Or maybe they want to go O-line. Maybe the quarterback talk regarding Tomlin and everyone else is a smokescreen. Maybe Sanders is there. And Tomlin's like, yeah, this is all smokescreen. Give us whatever you got, whatever you can give us.
Especially if a team is adamant about trading back.
trading back up or
back into the first or whatnot. I mean, they're going to send a plethora of picks toward the Steelers' way. I don't see how the Steelers pass up on that.
right?
If they can find a trade partner in that circumstance and that predicament, the Steelers are going to be all ears. Connor's going to be all ears, no doubt about it.
For sure, for sure. Now I want to get into Aaron Rodgers a little bit because
AA Ron.
Ron, yeah. Listen, man, there's no timetable on Aaron Rodgers. We don't know when he's gonna make a decision, and for weeks, everyone was kind of saying, well, if he's gonna make a decision, it's gonna be before or during the draft. Well, if that's the case, it's crunch time. But I don't think he makes a decision before the draft. I don't, because what he said on Pat McAfee's show last week indicates he's not in the mindset of football. He's not in the mindset of getting ready for the NFL season. The Steelers had players show up today for, I think, OTAs. And
the start of off-season programs, whatever the case is.
Right. And clearly, Aaron Rodgers isn't ready to do the same. So, regarding a decision, I would think, like, it would have to be within the next 2 days. Either way, if it is or if it isn't, regarding his decision, does that change the Steelers' mindset?
Well, according to Tomlin, because he was asked about it, with the Aaron Rodgers situation, does that change your mindset? Does that change your plans heading to the draft? Tomlin straight up said, no, it does not.
Okay.
It doesn't. So Tomlin told you it's not going to change anything. We're going to go in with the same plan, same mindset as when we were prepping for the NFL draft. And I don't think it will. I don't. Like, if a guy like Sanders is there, they're going to take a guy like Sanders. And then if they hear word from A-Rod saying, hey, I want to play for you guys and whatnot, and A-Rod is a Steeler, then they're going to go with A-Rod as QB1. I mean, they want A-Rod.
Either way, A-Rod was going to be QB1, yeah.
But they want A-Rod. The Steelers want A-Rod. It's just a matter if A-Rod really wants to come here.
Or if he wants to play. It's not a matter
or
if
he wants to play in general, yes.
It's either the Steelers or retirement. There's no other team.
And like you said, his interview with Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show, according to him, he's going through a lot. Some personal stuff and whatnot, relationship stuff and whatnot.
Wish him the best, honestly.
I hope he's doing well. Personally, outside of football and whatnot, I hope A-Rod is doing well mentally. I hope he's doing well physically. I hope everything throughout his life and everybody involved with A-Rod is doing fine. I can only hope for the best for A-Rod. And the Steelers are still waiting for him.
But how much longer are they going to wait? We all thought weeks ago, before the A-Rod situation came out, that he's dealing with some personal stuff, that he hasn't made a decision. And this is going all the way back to when free agency started.
Yeah.
Because it was that Monday of legal tampering that there were reports that the Steelers were talking to Aaron Rodgers. And here we are now, a month and a half later, still no decision. We would thought, okay, he's going to make a decision before or during the draft. Because if that's the case, or if that isn't the case, the Steelers, where they do at the quarterback position. According to what you said about what Mike Tomlin said, that's not going to change their perspective.
No. But A-Rod already said that the Steelers have not given him a timeline, and I don't think that the Steelers will give him a timeline.
Well, I feel like at some point they're going to have to.
Yeah, I don't understand, and I don't know how the Steelers have not given A-Rod a timeline with all this time taken, all this time waiting.
Now, there isn't a rush because the football season doesn't start till August.
Sure.
Or July, technically, but August. But there's no rush. But at the same time, what's the Steelers' mindset for the quarterback situation? And bearing on what the decision is, what's their mindset on the entire season? I feel like that's very important. And the fact that they haven't had a decision or an answer, what's going to be their answer if he doesn't give him an answer?
Yeah, it makes you question, okay, what's your game plan? What's your thought at this position, the quarterback position, the most important position in all of football?
And when is he going to make a decision? That's
No one knows.
Because I thought it was going to be this week, or it was going to be, the days leading up or whatever. Obviously, it's not, and I'm not expecting one. And at this point, dude, outside of right now, I wasn't even thinking or discussing Aaron Rodgers. It's just one of those things, like, it happens when it happens. I'm not even cringing. I'm not even worrying about it. It's just whatever happens, when it happens, it happens. I ain't stressing over it no more. I stressed over it too much a month and a half ago, leading up to the A-Rod segment on Pat McAfee's show. I ain't worrying about it no more. But at some point, he's going to have to come up to a decision.
He's got to make up his mind. And the Steelers themselves, they got to put their foot down and say, listen, man, we hope you're doing well, but we need to know what's going on so that we know where to go, right? We know how we can approach the upcoming season because we want you, but you're not saying, you may be in constant talks with us because A-Rod said that he's in constant talks with the Steelers about a situation, but the Steelers need to be like, you need to let us know what's really going on, where your mindset is at.
Well,
so that we know who we're going with. We're either going with Mason or we're going with this rookie.
Right.
We need to know. Or we're going with another free agent that they're looking to add.
And regardless, whatever happens with Aaron Rodgers, whether he retires or chooses the Steelers, whenever that may be at this point, I don't know when it's going to be. They're still going to go with Mason and a rookie. That's not going to change for the draft.
No.
So they have faith and trust in Mason. I do believe that. I do, personally.
And I've been on record saying that I'd rather see Mason at quarterback than A-Rod.
I don't want A-Rod. I don't. But regardless of Aaron Rodgers' decision, that's not going to change their mindset for the draft.
No, it's not.
What round that might, I don't know. Because it's inevitable they're going to draft a quarterback. Maybe Aaron Rodgers' decision could have swayed them from going quarterback in the first round, but now that he's obviously waiting on a decision, maybe they go quarterback in the first. Maybe they don't. But I feel like if Aaron Rodgers was signed, like say he's signed now, does that change their perspective and their outlook at the quarterback position in the first round? Because now I would think because Aaron Rodgers isn't signed, maybe they have a little sense of urgency or maybe a sense of worry. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they trust Mason and they know they're going to take a quarterback and they're just going to trust whoever they select whenever that's going to be, come Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Yeah, because maybe they are thinking of the 2026 draft. Maybe they're thinking ahead and thinking of those prospects, which, the potential and the up talent, right? The talent possesses, right?
Right.
It's got more upside than this year compared, at least projectedly, right? The Steelers could be looking at that considering the comp picks that they're going to get, that speculation. They could use those comp picks in a package to trade up high into the draft to select a high pedigree quarterback. That's been heavily speculated. That's still going to be speculated until it's a possibility. Again, I don't know where the Steelers take quarterback. I feel like that they should not take a quarterback just because they need to early.
Agreed.
I feel like they should not take a quarterback within the first 2 days just because they need to. Yes, there's no doubt that quarterback is a necessary need. You need a quarterback. But that doesn't mean that you should overvalue, you should overreach.
Or overdraft.
For a quarterback just because you need one.
Been there, done that. And I'm not trying to do that again this year. So hard no on Dart in the first, which he's obviously going to go in the first. He might go top 10 to the Saints or top 9 to the Saints.
Yeah.
So hard no on Dart in the first. Sanders, I'm cool with, but not my preference.
Not my first choice.
So again, Mason, I'd rather ride with him. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. I never wanted Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to warm up to the idea of Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he does much for us.
No, I just consider A-Rod being a Steeler because the Steelers, for some reason, think that A-Rod's going to lead them to something. I don't know how.
It's not.
It's nothing but false hope. A-Rod being a Steeler would be nothing but false hope for the Steelers organization.
And clearly, he's not invested in the sport. He's not invested in the season. I don't want a quarterback that's not fully locked in.
Here's the way I see it. If you don't want to be here, then talk should just stop. Straight up. If your heart, if your mission is not to be with us, if your mindset is not to be with us, then no, thank you. I'm sorry. If you don't want to be with this team, if you don't want to be with our coach, if you don't want to be with our players, if you don't want to represent the black and gold, if you don't want to represent the logo, then you're not being with this team. I'm sorry. If your heart is not all in with this team, I don't want you here. At least Russ wanted to be here.
Yeah, he was all in on the Steelers run and all that, and we all know how that turned out. But I couldn't agree more with what you said. Loud and proud, couldn't have stated it better myself.
Listen, and that's for anybody, for any position. I don't care who you are. But if you don't want to be here, by all means, get out.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Like, if he's contemplating, then if I'm the Steelers, listen, I'm not even looking at that direction. I'm not wasting my time there.
No.
I know they're in constant contact. They're talking very, very frequently. I think what's his name? I think Aaron Rodgers stated that him and Tomlin, him and Steelers are constantly talking.
Yes.
So the fact that they're constantly talking, you know, there's still communication, there's still updates regarding that.
But I also remember Art Rooney said, you know, like, we're not going to wait forever, but we'll wait a little longer.
I don't trust his words.
Exactly. Even if, like, how long is a little longer?
Ryan Connolly, been a member for 25 months, says, how was your Easter weekend? It was great.
It was great, Ryan.
It was great.
Shout out to Ryan, bro.
It was great, man. Spent time with the family, ate too much.
A very enjoyable Easter weekend, though.
Enjoyed the Mania weekend, rode some four-wheelers. I had a great fucking time.
Hell of a weekend. Hell of a holiday.
Hell of a weekend. And a great way to spiral right into draft week. It's like the perfect tie-in. You know what I mean?
Couldn't ask for better scheduling, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Could not ask for better scheduling.
I want to see what the chat's thinking. Said, I'm over A-Rod. He's a one-year rental that won't be fully locked in with the team. If he said retirement is still possible, and that's a wrap for me, says Digital Dust. Couldn't agree more.
I mean, it was essentially, we essentially are turning into the Indianapolis Colts since Andrew Luck retired.
Yes, we are. Oh, God.
Like, and it's only going to be the case again this upcoming season, right? That pattern's going to continue.
Rob says, don't even want Rodgers anymore, honestly. Draft Sanders. I'd rather sign Shailene Woodley, says Phil Diets.
Who?
Tom was here, says they can't let Rodgers influence their decision. If there's a quarterback 21, that is the top of their board, take it. He isn't there and may not be there.
Steelers could think that.
Digital Dust says Sanders won't be there at 21 and not even thinking he'll be there.
So what you're saying, Dust, is that you're not getting your hopes up.
Well, what he's saying is defensive tackle and running back have to be the first two picks.
I agree.
You're in the same thinking boat that we are.
I agree, man.
Somber says, my thought is that they'll take one of these third, fourth round guys. If Rodgers doesn't sign, they'll sign another vet like Wentz or Tannehill. Use the comp picks to get a guy in Pittsburgh next year. That's what I want them to do. That's exactly what I want them to do. And I hope that works out.
Yes, I was just about to say that. I can only hope that is their game plan.
I want Will Howard in the fourth. Will we make it to the fourth? I don't know. But listen, just like the people thinking Sanders is going to be there, I'm going to think that Howard's going to be there.
Yeah, listen, man. Like, I will be more than happy if the Steelers were to take a quarterback within day 3. My preference is, and it's this in this order, Will Howard, Kyle McCord, or Tyler Shook.
But how soon do they take a quarterback? I think it's no later than the 4th.
Yeah.
No later than the 4th.
At the latest, maybe the 5th. At the latest. If there's a top talent, whether that's at a defensive tackle or wide receiver, right, or even cornerback maybe, if there's a talent in the 4th that they can't pass up on, they could push it to the 5th, but do the Steelers want to do that?
I don't know. That's why I think no later than the 4th.
Yeah, I probably have to agree.
I don't know. They could wait no later to the 5th. I just think I can't envision them waiting so long for a quarterback. Could be wrong. We'll find out come Saturday. Maybe even Friday. Maybe even Thursday. Maybe even Thursday, man. Danielle says, you guys streaming the whole draft? Yes. All of night 1 and all of night 2. And we'll be live Saturday night recapping the entire draft class, which I can't wait for. And I hope no matter what happens at the end of the day, we get a stellar draft class and we get a couple of guys that are going to lead this franchise for the next couple of years. The last 2 draft classes, from a pedigree, from a value aspect, from what they've done, I think they can both live up to be very good draft classes. And those 2 classes alone, I feel like are superior than what we've had to deal with in Kevin Colbert's last couple of years.
Yeah. The draft classes of Colbert's compared to Khan's, I mean.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there's still some bumps in the road with guys like Broderick and JPJ and, Fatanu staying healthy.
Far from perfect, but, I mean, the potential and the pedigree.
It's there.
It's there.
So, as a front office, based off of what they've done the past couple of years and who they've selected and what the scouting team has done, what Waddle and Khan and even Tomlin have done, I believe they will give us a good draft class. I can only hope so. At the end of the day, no matter what the selection is going to be, I hope whoever they select leads this team for the long haul. We get a damn good football player to represent this logo.
Same with you there, brother.
All right, I think we've said all that need to be said. Let's get into the fan mock draft. I told you guys we're going to do a fan mock draft today. We did one yesterday with PFF, and it might be a little unrealistic, but we did a very good mock draft. The fans in the chat did a very good mock draft. We're going to move on to tonight's one for Pro Football Network. We're going to do a different mock draft simulator here. And depending on how this goes, we might use this tomorrow because we're going to do another one tomorrow. And we might even do a full first-round mock draft because why the hell not? We'll see what happens tomorrow, man.
And make it round 7. You want to put the speed at fast. If you put it
fast,
at,
yes.
Even if it's at normal, we'd be here all night.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So we're going to enter the solo draft, and we're going to go.
All right.
All
And we have some.
Ooh, we got some trade back offers. Again, this is the chat's mock draft. We'll have some input, we'll have some opinion, but this is primarily who the chat wants. Whoever's name pops up most, whoever's a popular vote will be the selection. We got a trade back option with the Bucks, pick 25 and an extra 4th. Then we got, they want to trade real back up into the first with the 35th and a 103 plus 2026 picks that we can't
Use
play
for
with.
this mock, no.
Or maybe we do. Maybe we pause and then use those to trade back up into the first.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe.
Just saying. And we got another one. That's way too far back, but that's 3 day 3 picks. So chat, are you guys entertaining any of these options? If not, we'll stay put at pick 21 and let you guys decide.
To be real, I kind of like the Buccaneers offer.
I do too, but it's up to the chat.
Yeah.
See what the chat thinks. I mean, let's look at who's on the board here. Matthew Golden, Malachi Starks, Nick Emmanwori, Walker Nolan, Greg Zabel, if you want to go O-line again, Emeka Ibuka, Jackson Dart, Marion Hampton, Trey Amos. Shedeur Sanders is not on the board for those that wanted it. He's not on the board.
Nope.
Let's see. We got Somber saying all those trades look bad. Ryan says swear jar. Did I cuss? I'm sorry.
Get that coin in there.
See, Ryan, I appreciate you as an STM member using that swear jar emote. By the way, I keep forgetting. I got to create a peace emote to replace the Let's Ride one. I will be doing that tomorrow. Promises made, promises kept.
As always.
Let's see. We got Jay saying, I like to trade back and trade up thing. Somber says they have Kenneth Grant ranked 38th overall. He'll be gone. Phil says, let's do Matthew Golden. I mean, he's there. Maybe, we don't always have to repeat the picks. We can do something a little different here.
Again, this is the chat's mock right here. And listen, Matthew Golden might be best player available option there.
Okay, let's hide and let's take a look at the draft board. There we go. Okay, so they got Kenneth Grant ranked 37. Tyleik Williams ranked 38. Some options here.
Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted to trade back, first of all, let's see who's.
Yeah, Jay says we took Harmon yesterday. That is right.
We did, and Harmon is not on the board here. He went to the 49ers, who traded.
Oh wow.
So hold on, let me see. So hold on, wait a minute.
No, Niners had. Oh, they had 11, didn't they?
So yeah, the Niners had 11. The Texans traded up, and
They traded 3 picks.
Yeah. They traded up to pick 11.
Wow.
And then the Niners traded up to take. Traded up with the Bucks to take Derrick Harmon.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so they used 2 of the picks that they had from the Texans to trade back up. Such a 49ers thing to do. Shedeur Sanders fell all the way down to 18, and the Seahawks still took him.
Huh.
So yeah, if we're looking at top 30 visit, Golden, Emmanwori. But if you guys want to go Nolan, we could trade back, get Grant still.
Huge possibility.
EJ Marple says Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan.
Love him. He was taken by the Dolphins
You know
at
what?
13.
I can see that, considering that there's a trade speculation with Jalen Ramsey.
Does he fall all the way down there?
I mean, I can see it.
Ashton Genty went to the Cowboys, which I've been saying for so many months now, but at this point, does he make it out of the top 10? Could happen, could not happen.
I don't know, Chad. What are we thinking, huh? We thinking Golden? We thinking defensive line?
Zabel is listed as a tackle, but he'll most likely be a swing guard. Yes.
I can see that, yeah.
From North Dakota State. I say trade back and get Grant. Hampton looking like a nice juicy steak to me right now. He is there. And based on top 30 visit, yes. So if we're looking at top 30 visit, Golden, Emmanwori, and Hampton speak to me. Plus Trey Amos. And Jackson Dart. But I don't see nobody saying Dart in the chat. I guess I gotta put a poll in the chat for you guys, huh? Okay. Here, we'll decide this way.
Yeah, yesterday we did a coin flip. Today we'll do something different. We'll do a poll.
We got 3 options.
We'll poll it.
What do we do at pick 21?
Roddy says Caldwell at 83.
Yeah, Phil says Golden's even better than Ted McMillan. I mean, he's there. That's incredible value.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put Golden, Hampton, trade back.
All right, chat.
Those are the 3 options: Golden, Hampton, or trade back. Because I didn't put Grant or Nolan there because I feel like if we trade back, we can still select either if you guys want to go that route. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Already very diverse.
Yeah, let's give it a minute here.
So
All
far, 50% say trade back. Remember, this is the popular vote.
Right now, 55%. Shout out to Peasy says trade back.
Swear jar, yeah.
Yeah, trade swear jar for Somber, yes. I don't know, 55% still says trade back, dude.
Okay, now who do we trade back with?
58%.
Trade offer. Now, we could always propose our own trade, or we could take one of these. I don't hate that one. And my trade up into the first idea, but it's up to you guys.
What are we thinking? So far, 50% still says trade back. Yep. Nolan and Grant both there. Yes. Yes, they are still there. Yep. Well, we could trade back and potentially still get them. It's a huge possibility. Either with the Bucks or make your own trade. I mean, with the Bucks, I mean, we're only trading back 4 spots and getting a extra 4th round. That's an extra day 3 pick. I mean, it would be something. I don't know, man. Get Mason some weapons. He's already got some weapons to a degree. I mean, he can never have too many. Imagine Golden, Pickens, and Metcalf. Dude, whether it's Mason, A-Rod, Sanders, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson, I mean, like, that's a hell of a wide receiver trio right there. Like, no matter who the quarterback is, I mean, like, you want your quarterback to succeed. And having a receiving room like that to pair with a Roman Wilson, we'll see what he can do, a Calvin Austin and whatnot, of course. I mean, that's hella talent. That's hella speed.
Okay, if I'm going to have my input in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is my own personal input. I'm taking Golden, but it's up to the chat.
Well, the poll says 50%.
Yeah, the popular vote says trade back. Duck Hodges would cook with that trio. He cooked with James Washington.
He cooked the Browns, that's for sure.
Juju and who was it? Deontay that year?
Yeah, Deontay's rookie. No. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it
Deontay's
was his
rookie
rookie
year.
season.
Yeah.
Wow.
How much would you hate a Starks pick? I wouldn't hate it. I think he's a great safety.
Yeah, I mean,
I
Starks is phenomenal.
I just don't think they go safety.
What are the odds that we take the Bucks pick and Golden still there? Very slim,
Highly
right?
impossible.
Very slim, right?
Well, you gotta think the Chargers are gonna take him right after us.
Yeah, more than likely.
Or maybe the Bucks.
I'd prefer Igbuka in the slot, to be honest, with DK and GP. That'd be disgusting.
Sure would. Sure would. All right. Yeah, we can take the Bucks here. Let's
See if you can counter the trade, or maybe try somebody else.
all right. Let's say we propose our own trade. Who are we thinking? There's the Texans, there's the Bills, there's the Chiefs, there's the Eagles. What else we got down here? The Rams, the Lions, maybe the Commanders. I know they don't have too many picks. I don't think they do. No, they definitely got too many picks. Lions got some extra capital. Rams got some extra capital. Probably Texans might be safe. That's what I'm thinking. Actually, I'm so fuck. The Texans already traded. My bad. All right, so the Bucks. The Bucks in this case.
You know, the Bucks, man.
Wait, no, hold on. They got all these picks, and they're only going to be willing to trade to 126. Now, at least give us 84.
Where's our? My bad.
At least give us 84.
Gotta stop cussing, bro. We need these for Thursday. It's gonna be a crazy night.
Sure is. Cannot wait. All right. Well, hold on. Let's try to counter.
Yeah, try to counter. Yeah, let's give it a
Yeah,
shot.
no. Give us at least
Yeah, 83, 84 would be back-to-back picks.
give us at least 84. What do you guys think? Or should we try another team? All right, I see Phil and Johnny saying Buffalo. Jay says Rams at 26. What do the Rams? Yeah, the Rams got 26, 90, and 101. But can we get earlier capital potentially?
Go to Buffalo so we can get a second-round pick.
All right, let's try Buff. Pose. Where's Buffalo? Right
Top,
there.
Yeah, top right.
Boom. 30. And let's try 56. I don't know if it's going to be that easy.
Will it work?
What do you guys think? Should I propose?
Now, you can't force these trades. Can't do it with this website.
Try to get 58 and throw them next year's third. So I guess you're talking about the Bucks potentially.
Yes.
All right, let's propose, confirm, declined, rejected.
All right, Buffalo, fine. Screw you.
All right, well, you know what? Let's try the Bucks. Actually,
Then you just go back.
counter.
Don't need that many picks.
And,
Come on, spread the love.
and Sombra says try to throw in next year's third. Well, we're getting a third for Dan Moore. So,
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
oh, okay.
No, that won't do. Not that simple. Huh. All right.
Well, I heard the Rams. So
yeah, they're right there.
let's
yeah.
try the Rams. I know it's a little later, but maybe we could try.
I mean, I'll accept it.
Do y'all accept it, or should we try again? Should we try the other teams again? And we can always trade more next year's capital because, I mean, we're not using it. We're not using it in this mock. So we could always be a little stingy.
Maybe give up a fourth for next year.
A third and fourth?
Not just a fourth.
Oh, for this?
Yeah, if you want, if you think it will work.
I think this is plenty.
All right.
That's just me. I think this is plenty.
Well, if you want to propose it, give it a shot.
Get a late second or early third. Well, this would be like a mid third.
It'd be an extra day 2 pick.
It would, but that's like a mid third.
It is.
And 101's a comp pick, so that's a late third. All right, let's see. Lions, maybe? Should we try the Lions, folks?
Give it a shot.
Give us 60. That'd be a late second, but, you know, I think we
It's
can.
a second. No, I knew it.
All right, hold on. Let's throw in some extra capital. I think we can make this work. I think the Lions are our best bet.
Come on, Detroit. We gave you that Thanksgiving win. Come on.
You guys are Absolutely. Really? All right, hold on. We're gonna try this again. I don't want 102. I want 60.
Lions don't want to wait that long.
3rd and 4th. We're getting comp picks next year. We can do it. Wow. Okay. You know, we might just have to bite the bullet with one of these if we're gonna trade back, or do we just say, you know what, screw the trade back talk and just take Golden? Or I'm gonna propose.
Now the poll still says 62% says trade back.
Yeah, I gotta listen to the poll. So we gotta make a trade happen. I still like this idea.
Should it be like a 3 strikes you're out sort of deal?
Could be. Try Chiefs.
Yeah, because they have 2 seconds.
Do they?
Yes. One's from a trade.
Oh, give us 63, you stingy bastards.
Well, they got how
Swear
many
jar.
picks within the first 2 days?
4.
Chiefs.
And you know what? Because this is what happens.
You don't need to get greedy now.
This is what happens when you trade away some of your best players and you lose your best players for comp picks. John says Golden is the pick. Can't let the Chiefs get him. Golden's there.
Yeah, John, you're correct on that.
I mean, the chat's saying, or the poll is saying trade back, but what's the live chat saying?
I bet Grant is there at 31 too.
I think he is too.
We got to make a decision here. You can give it a shot.
I don't know what other team to trade back with. We tried the Bucks, didn't work. We tried the Lions, didn't work. Tried the Bills, didn't work. We won an extra second. That is the premise here. Oh my God.
Do we just take the Bucks proposal?
Maybe we just take Golden. I don't like that. I want more, bro. We're going to
You
count.
can try one more time. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, come on. Go for it. F it.
Let's go. All right, we got to trade back.
All right. Now who's off the board?
Oh. All right, hold on. All right, who's off the board? Golden went to the Patriots. That's dirty.
All right.
Okay, so we really only missed out on Golden, but we have 2 premier receivers. All right, so I want to entertain this for you guys. Okay, so let's recap the trade we did. We traded pick 21 and next year's 3rd and 4th, which we're getting comp picks back, for pick 25 and 58. So we got an extra 2nd round pick. I believe that's an extra 2nd round pick.
Yes.
That is an extra 2nd round pick. Yes, sir. All right. Now, do we want to trade back again? We would only give up our 4th, but get another day 2 pick back, another 2nd round pick. I actually like that because Nolan could still be there, and if he's not, I think Grant will still be there.
Chad likes it.
You got to think, the Bills traded back twice last year. Why can't we? Why can't we?
Get 2 seconds out of it. We lose a 4th, but you get an earlier picks in that.
The chat's saying trade back. So we're going to trade back.
And I bet Grant will still be there.
I bet he will too.
Go for it.
We got to take advantage of these boards, man. Accept. All right, well, let's see. Walter Nolan was just taken by the Commanders.
Well, that leaves
All right, so we got Malachi Starks is still there. Okay, we got Jackson Dart and Marion Hampton is still there. Kenneth Grant. So we could take Hampton and still got 2 2nd round picks, or we could take Grant here. Let's take a look at the defensive line position. We got some options we could take later if we wanted to.
Yeah, we could.
Alfred Collins, if you want a pure nose. Darius Alexander, we could take later if he's still on the board. Grant, though, here at pick 30?
Yep. That'd be great value.
While he's looking at running back, I mean, we can get any of these studs. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Everyone's saying Grant. Chat saying Grant. All right, we're going to go Grant. We're going to go Kenneth Grant out of Michigan.
Don't even have to pull that one.
1st round pick. It took 2 trade backs to do it, but we still got our guy, Kenneth Grant. I love that, folks.
Now,
Love
second round.
that. Not going to trade back.
No.
All right, so let's see. Who did we miss out on? Malachi Starks went to the Jags. Benjamin Morrison went to the Raiders. Luther Burden and Tyreek Williams went to the Chargers. Damn, Chargers, I see what you're doing. Marion Hampton went to the Bears at 41. That's a steal. Oh,
What?
Trevion Henderson went to Seattle.
And well, there goes that.
All right, let's see who's on the board. Jalen.
I see a running back that I like a lot.
I do too.
Who wears the black and gold, and I would like to see him wear black and gold still. From Iowa.
If we're talking running back, Caleb Johnson's there. Quinshawn Junkins, I like too. Either of those backs are going to be great.
Phil says Milrow. Please be trolling.
Phil says Milrow. Jay says get Amos or Hampton. Well, that's a little too late, isn't it? Pick Trey Harris. Trey Harris is there.
Trey Harris is really nice.
Idle. Yeah, Andy Waddle was at his pro day.
He is nice.
All right, I'm going to need
Where's our second round pick in this mock? Where is it?
It's like 4 picks later. At 62.
Do you want to be secure and take a running back here? I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, hold on.
Be secure, take a running back here, maybe still look at receiver, maybe, or even quarterback as an option. Dan's going to pull it.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it here. So we're at pick 58.
Great idea, brother.
So who's just pick at 52? I'm going to put Jalen Milrow. Let me see. Trey Harris. Caleb Johnson. And who's another option here? That might be it. Yeah, we're just going to go with those 3 options. All right, we're going to put that in the poll. Who does Steelers take at pick 58? Is it going to be Jalen Milrow? Is it going to be Trey Harris? Or is it going to be Caleb Johnson? Seems to be the most more popular names here. I do quarterback, then Milrow. Those 3 teams in between aren't getting a quarterback. I don't think so either. Yeah, it's not happening. No way. No way. So if y'all want Milrow, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean, trading back and still getting a guy, still getting him there, still more acceptable for me personally.
But right now, so far, 57% says Caleb Johnson.
Everyone says Caleb Johnson. Well, not everyone, but the majority of the chat. Because we gotta go Caleb here, right? Remember, we got another pick right here, 4 picks later. And look at all our picks in general.
Now, keep in mind, there could be a possible option to trade back in the 3rd to get an extra 4th back.
Could, yes.
If that is possible.
Now we're gonna go Caleb Johnson.
Is that an extra 4th?
It is.
Ew.
But we trade back 8 spots.
Yeah.
Or we could trade back 9 spots.
And get an earlier 4th round pick.
Y'all want to entertain any of those?
Okay. Well, let's look on the board. Let's look at the board first.
Milrow's there. Trey Harris is still there, bro. Oh, my God.
Okay. Jane Higgins is there, too.
Jaden Higgins. Oh, my God.
Yeah, the top 30 visit, yeah.
Oh, my God. Higgins is still there.
Yeah. Hey, let's end that poll since Johnson's a Steeler right here.
Chat, bro. I don't know what y'all gonna do. What are y'all gonna do? I mean, if we want to go receiver, you got 2 incredible options based off their interest.
Brody says Higgins. Johnny says Harris.
I like Higgins better personally, but it's up to y'all.
Yeah. So are the options Milrow, Harris, or Higgins?
I don't see much. I don't see much talk about Milrow outside of Phil.
No, I'm seeing a lot of Higgins here in the chat.
No, the DB out of Kentucky isn't. You're talking.
Is it Harrison?
Yeah, he's not there.
Yeah, Maxwell Harrison.
He was taken by the Falcons.
Higgins is another GP.
He is. I think he's more.
Summer says too much of the same.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's not.
I
see Nico Collins like tendencies in Higgins. That might just be me, but
see, he's like Pickens, but without the the character. I mean, I see Pickens and Trey Harris too, though.
Milroe might be the best.
Running back?
Milroe might be the best running back left.
I don't disagree, Jay.
Jay, that was great.
I don't disagree. You are not wrong, my friend. Damn, what do y'all do? Do we double dip at D-line and go Alfred Collins, get a big-ass nose?
I'm not opposed.
Swear jar.
We gonna
What
put
do
a
you-
swear jar for ass? I guess we are, aren't we?
No.
All right, cool.
Higgins or Henderson? Henderson isn't on the board.
Yeah, he gone. Poll maybe?
All right. So let's put pick at 62. I'm gonna put Milroe because he's still there. I'm gonna put Harris. Not Najee. Trey. Love you, Najee. And Higgins. Not T. Fuck you, T. And we're going to swear jar. We're going to see what the poll says, what the chat thinks. I mean, Harris or Higgins, I mean, I think they're both going to be studs. I think Trey Harris isn't getting enough talk, to be real with you. I see Higgins getting first-round talks. I think Trey Harris should be higher on people's draft boards.
Yeah, he's a very, very dominant receiver, dude.
Guy's insane.
Very good. Very good.
Like a stockier Pickens. He's not as fast, I don't think, but big play machine.
All right, so what's the update on the poll? It's been about a minute.
Higgins is like bigger, but more fluid.
44% has Trey Harris.
Wow. I could have sworn Higgins is going to be the popular vote.
Nope. Waddle was at the pro day, dude. Waddle knows talent.
Can you imagine Grant and Alexander? I mean, I can. Darius Alexander, I totally didn't even see him. Darius Alexander's still there. Yeah, I think 62 is pretty good value for him. He's getting first-round talks. I think he'll ultimately go very early day 2, but at the end of the second round, that's good value for him, despite his age. What about offensive lineman? You know what? I like that.
Matter of fact, wasn't Andy Waddle there? Wasn't he a part of the trade for A.J. Brown? Was that a year before he became a Steeler, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe so.
So maybe he sees
A.J. Brown mix.
yeah, considering Brown came from Old Miss and Harris plays a similar style, maybe.
Regarding O-line, Phil, I mean, some of these guys are a bit of reaches. Maybe we invest later. But 48% says Harris.
I think we got to go Harris, dude, just based off the poll.
Yeah, they got Charles Grant rated low, but maybe we get him at 83, or maybe we trade back and get him later because we have extra picks to go tackle.
Right.
A lot of people are saying Trey. The poll saying Trey. Looks like we're going Trey Harris, and you know what? I don't hate it. I don't. Waddle was there. He saw him up close in person. We're gonna go a guy like Trey Harris. Wow. All right, shooting all the way down to 83.
One trade offer.
No, thank you.
Milroe's still freaking there, dude.
Yeah, he is, and so is Alfred Collins.
My preference is Collins.
If you want a stocky nose, bro.
Aaron Derrick, what's good, bro? How you doing?
What's up, Aaron? What's up, AD? Shout out to AD in the chat.
How we doing, AD?
Appreciate all you guys in the chat, man. This is another great live stream, another fun discussion. And so far, let's take a look at our picks. Kenneth Grant, Caleb Johnson, Trey Harris. Home run picks. Great value all around. Loving this, man. This is great.
Somber says, I hate it, but you know Tomlin is sprinting for Milroe. Yes, he would.
He sure is. Now let's look at O-line.
I'm going to send this poll right here.
Emory Jones is there from LSU.
That he is. Would rather have Will Howard or Dart. John, I agree.
100%. Yes.
I agree.
100%. I'm not a fan of Miller whatsoever.
Too raw.
Way too raw. Definitely not within the first 2 days.
Nope.
But just like Dart and Sanders, I don't think they make it out of the first round. Or in Miller's case, I don't think Miller makes it out of day 2. O-line or corner, maybe. I like corner. I like the corner.
Yeah, let's look at
Jacob
corner.
Parrish.
I would love Jacob Parrish.
Love Jacob Parrish.
So we're looking at Jalen Monroe, Alfred Collins, Jacob Parrish, and offensive line right here.
Yes.
4 options right there.
AD says, love this channel. Everyone hit that like button. Appreciate you, AD.
Thanks, AD. And you heard him. You heard the man. You heard AD.
Anyone with the initials AD, you don't want to mess with him. I'm just saying. So I would listen to anything he says. Who are the best offensive linemen? Emory Jones. Emory Jones and Charles Grant. Grant might be a bit of a reach, but we don't have a 4th round pick, guys. We traded that to get an extra pick here, which I believe was pick 62.
Yes.
And it was. Yes.
Yep, with Buffalo. Make sure to look at guard, too.
Now, unless y'all want to Miles Frazier, versatility there. I think we took him in yesterday's mock, just a little later. If y'all want to trade back here, if y'all want to propose to trade back and get a 4th round pick, so there's not that big of in between, we can.
If you get a later 3rd rounder with a 4th round pick in it, see if it's possible.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw that out there. If y'all want to trade back, we can. If there's a team to trade back, I would highly encourage the Rams, because we could trade back 7 spots and still get 127 potentially. Otherwise, the Texans traded everything, so they're not contention. The Jags trade 4 spots down, maybe get 126, maybe. What about the Seahawks? Seahawks, I mean, yeah, trading down 9 spots, but you can still get a 4th rounder there. One thing I like about this website, by the way, is like you pick their logo and it tells you who they selected wherever they selected them. That's really cool.
It's pretty badass, yeah.
It literally follows. Kobe Bryant, is he there? From Kansas. He is at 120. So if y'all want a trade back situation, I don't know if he'll be there at pick 156.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd be there. I don't know. But I do like Kobe Bryant.
I mean, Justin Wally's here later on if we want to go him. If we want to go corner later.
Jay says Parrish.
Is there anyone on the board right now that is like, we have to draft this guy? Shady says, I low-key want Mildew or Milrow.
You got Ryan Conley says you guys are awesome, except when you are just both being such potty mouths.
Yeah.
Yes, Ryan, you're right. It's not intentional.
It's not, and it's a bad habit. I'm trying to get out of that. We were so much worse when we first started this.
Like
I can't go back and watch those.
Yeah, growing up, I try to limit the cussing, especially on here. So that's why we do the swear jar thing. The spot for Milrow if you like him.
But I don't like him.
Do you want Pegues for fullback?
Fullback and defensive line purposes, yes.
Two-way player.
Where's he at? 147. Again, there's a gap here.
If you want to wait.
There's a gap from 83 to 156. Keep that in mind, guys. Gonna throw out the trade possibility. But if there's a player here y'all just don't want to pass on, take him. Personally, I'm eyeing an Alfred Collins or a Jacob Parrish. But if y'all want to go,
I really like Alfred Collins, though. But again, it's your guys' decision. Parrish can play slot and outside. Yes, he can.
Sure can. Love his versatility. Very intense, especially in man coverage. Tons of man coverage experience.
And Jay says Slayer's 35. Yes. Yes, he will be.
What about safeties? You know what? That's a good idea. I like that. Lathan Ransom. I mean, there's not really a lot of crazy options here.
No, I don't think they take safety at this pick.
No. Well, I mean, we got picks back to do it, so we can if we wanted to. It's just the options aren't, blowing me away. Keep in mind, next pick is 156. Both Shuck and Howard might be gone. Great analysis. We could always settle for Riley Leonard. Yeah, no, thank you. Kyle McCord.
That's a good fallback option. That long, though?
Shuck and Howard won't be there at 156. So, again, I entertain the idea. Trade back.
Shady asks, what y'all doing if we take Milrow round 1? I would walk out this room and never enter it for the rest of the night.
Literally. He's told me that.
I told Dan off camera, if that happens, I'm walking out. I'm not coming back on stream.
He's a man of his word, man. This man put on his PJs all because, what's his face?
Bailey Zapp scorched our defense.
Yeah, versus the Patriots.
I remember that Thursday night game. I wish I didn't.
Perish with
You
that
think I'm playing?
Perish with that big O lineman from LSU.
Miles Frazier?
Well, Phil says he trade back. If we're waiting for third and fourth for quarterback, they are backup for us. Wait till next year then. That's kind of the point there, Jace. That's where I'm at. I feel like O-line is a reach here. I mean, based off their rankings, they are. O-line worth consideration is Emory Jones. And he has a big body. Oops, wrong button. I'll be surprised if they pick Milroe at 21. I'll be very surprised. I'll be very surprised. I'll be very, very angry. I'll be one pissed off Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Yeah, Pickett's nearly broke into tears. Yeah, when we lost to the... I nearly broke into tears. That was abysmal. That was one of the worst nights as a Steelers fan, bro.
Yeah.
And I watched them lose the Super Bowl in 45. And I watched the Tebow game. And
Yeah.
I watched the blowout versus the Patriots. Which one? I don't know. Pick any.
Or the Browns playoff loss. Those were tough. Those were tough.
Go Milroe, says Jake. You
Man,
know,
a lot of different takes here.
Sorry.
Gotta pull it, man.
pick at 83. Trade back for a fourth. Let's do Milroe because he's still on the board. Parrish or O-line. Because I see O-line more than Collins, so we'll go O-line as the last option in the poll. Get you guys' polls in the chat, folks. Whatever's most popular, we're gonna go. I'm not the biggest fan of Milroe, but if we end up going Milroe here, I don't hate it because of all the trades we made. Don't hate it. The biggest positive is that he'd be used on the rundown situations. I'm not joking either. Milroe's at the draft, so NFL expects him to go day 1 or day 2. I forgot he was going to the draft. Also heard Maxwell Hairston is going to be at the draft too from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jackson Dart was going to go, and then he backed out, and they put in the DB from Kentucky in the spot, I believe. Trade back for Caldwell. Is he there? He is, 137. Ooh.
Yeah, he's down there. He's down there.
Like that option. 50% of the chat says Milroe. Wow. Yeah, man. I gotta go with what the chat says, with what the poll says, man.
Sommer says we're cooked.
Every expert is mocking Sanders or Dart to the Steelers. Please no. Please no.
Not a fan.
Especially not Dart in the first.
Just not my preference. Yeah, I think Milroe's the pick at 83, dude.
Bootleg Mitch Trubisky. Oh, God.
Oh.
Ooh. You know what? You're not wrong, my guy. You're not.
In this situation, I'll pick Milroe, says AD.
Yeah, that's the only way I can be comfortable with because we have so many, we got so many picks back, but we also have a gap in between that we're not going to be taking a position here that we could use.
But the poll, 57% says
Oh, the
Milroe.
poll's increasing. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, just get it done over with, bro.
Trade back up for Caldwell after Milroe. Y'all think we can get away with trading back and getting Milroe? But I also don't want to be dishonest to the chat and to the poll.
No,
man.
it's the chat's mock. We keep our word.
Did you guys see Sanders talk about his favorite wide receivers were Metcalf and Pickens?
Yes, Jake.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The context of it was Max Crosby on his podcast, The Rush. He asked Shador Sanders what were his top quarterback wide receiver combos, and he named Derek Carr and Chris Olave. He named whoever's going to throw the ball to Pickens and DK, and whoever's going to throw the ball to Malik Neighbors.
Is he talking about the Carr and Olave from the first 2 weeks last season? Because that's all that they showed up on.
Well, he's also discussing teams that are within his his
I know.
range.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's saying, yeah, best quarterback wide receiver tandems. Oh, I'm going to go to either one of these teams, so I'm going to inadvertently name these players because I'm going to throw to either one of these guys.
Yep.
Only for him to go to Jerry Jeudy. Maybe.
You didn't mention him by name, though.
Murrow was a decent pick 20 picks ago. That would have been a reach.
Yeah, respectfully, Alan. Saints Insider, excuse me. Jake says Saints Insider said Saints won't be picking Sanders. More likely, the Saints take Dart.
Great. I do know the Saints sent all their offensive heads to the Ole Miss Pro Day. That's Kellen Moore, that's the OC, and that is the quarterback coach, Scott Tolzien. For Colorado's Pro Day, they only sent Scott Tolzien, the quarterback coach, and the receiver coach. That's it. So I don't know how much that sways their opinion or their decision come draft night, but they sent all the offensive heads to see Jackson Dart and not Sanders. Do they take a quarterback, though? Do they? Should they? They really shouldn't.
I can see it.
His number says 40. Yeah, his ranking says 40, but based on where we're at, according to PFN here, would be a steal. It wouldn't be. It'd be around his valued market.
He's like Randall Cunningham.
All the quarterbacks in this draft suck. Don't pick any of them. Dylan, I'm not going to disagree. Because I don't see no Brock Purdy situation anywhere day 3.
No.
I do like certain guys for backup options, but that's all you're going to get.
But the poll says Milrow.
He's like Randall Cunningham. Oh, he ain't got the arm talent like Randall Cunningham. He's like Justin Fields. More so.
He's more raw, Justin Fields. He's arguably more athletic.
Milrow will... Listen. I agree with you guys.
No, Milrow needs to sit.
I have to go. I have to. Okay, this is the predicament we put ourselves in. We have to go with Milrow based on what the chat and what the poll says. We have to.
See, here's the thing. I'm going to say this about Milrow quick, okay? He's a phenomenal athlete. We know that. He's a great runner. He's a very raw and inconsistent passer, though. He needs to sit for at least 2 years for him to really work on his inconsistencies, right? He's got to work. Do I think he's a great fit for the Steelers? No, I don't. Do I think he's a great fit with the Steelers coaches? No, I don't. I just think Milrow with the Steelers is not a good fit. If Milrow's with another team, a team that is going to work on his mechanics more so or better, in my opinion, then that's a better fit for Milrow. Like for the Raiders, for example, right? Or even the Seahawks at that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a better fit for Jalen Milrow. For the Saints, no. I'm just throwing that out there.
Al says if we would have kept Fields, we wouldn't be in this situation.
You and I agree. But Fields, I believe you didn't trust the Steelers.
Let's not stall no more.
We
have based on what the chat says, and we got to remain consistent and be honorable to what we said. We're going to take Milrow here. We have a huge gap in between. Let's see if we can still salvage.
Collins is still there.
Not anymore.
Kicking the
Nads.
All right, hold on.
Caldwell was just taken.
Son of a...
Pegues was taken by the Giants. Okay. Let's see where we're at.
All right.
I don't like any of this.
Guys, what are we thinking?
Maybe this will just be like 2017 where we got TJ, Juju, Connor, and everyone else sucked.
Yeah, it was Josh Dobbs and Keon Adams and I don't even remember who else.
Yeah, maybe this class is just going to be like 2017 where we got 3 really good players in the first 3 picks and everyone else kind of just, didn't do their part.
I don't count Sutton there, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Cam Stone's part of the class. I forgot that.
I don't count Sutton anymore. I don't.
I forgot Sutton. Yeah, he's
awful.
He tainted
He
everything.
was awful.
He tainted everything.
God. Not early on, but I'm sorry. His last year just ruined everything for me.
2017 was TJ, Juju, Cameron Sutton, James Conner, Josh Dobbs, Brian Allen, Colin Holba,
long snapper,
and Keon Adams.
Okay, well, the chat's saying cornerback. Somber says, I see Wally. Justin Wally.
Yep, I see him too. 168. What's our next pick here? 185. Okay. What's the trade back situation? No, thank you. Can still double dip at D-line. There's some options here. I like Peebles from Virginia Tech. They did look at Elijah Roberts.
Yep, that's right. Vernon Broughton, they looked at him too from Texas.
Cam Jackson's a big body. We took him in the mock yesterday. Let's see.
So,
Quarterback.
I mean, there's some fallback options for defensive tackle.
Dylan Gabriel is there. Kyle McCord is there. Michael Crabtree. Why'd you bring in Michael Crabtree?
What about Crabtree? Hot take: Milroe either takes a Joe Milton route or he stays in the league for 10 years. Yes, because everyone thinks they can unlock his potential. Milroe will be a good backup for Manning in 27 with new coaches.
Yeah, hopefully new coaches.
Fingers crossed, if anything.
Jack Sperry on Locked On Pittsburgh mocked Milroe to Steelers in the first round, and Mike Tomlin had a dinner and really raved about him, shaking my head. That would be absolutely hideous. That would be horrible. I hope he's wrong. I get his thinking, but I hope he's wrong. That would be hideous. That would like if I had to give you the worst case scenario at 21, that is Milroe.
Well, I can end the poll.
It's really just McCord or Rourke. Rest might go undrafted for agent. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I like Max Brosmer, but that's like later.
That's 7th round. I don't see them waiting till round.
And look
7.
where he's ranked, 269.
Yeah. Smart quarterback.
That's Dart. Shady. Dart is a better quarterback than Milroe. The only issue with Dart, or some issue with Dart, is he's going to have to sit too. He's not going to have to sit as long, but he's going to have to sit and adapt an NFL offense.
Yeah, he's not familiar or too familiar under center.
Or he doesn't know an NFL style offense. That RPO garbage over at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is got to be like one of the worst offensive schemes for a quarterback to learn under. Like Matt Corral didn't do nothing.
No, he's actually in the UFL.
It's like Tennessee and Ole Miss. What they do offensively is just not the greatest for any quarterback development whatsoever. I might actually punch through my 1440p monitor if they draft Milroe at 21. I'm telling you right now, if he is the pick at 21, all hell is going to break loose in this studio. It'll be like Daniel Jones amplified, or what Giants fans do. And I go back and watch those videos every year for the draft.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Dan Tomlin raved about Malik Willis. He did.
And it was a smokescreen.
It was. All right, Chad, what are we thinking here? I don't know, man. Options aren't pretty stellar.
I can see a Wally though.
The only one I'm thinking is Wally. I don't know about you guys. I'm thinking Wally. Wally seems to be like the only real good option here that I'm kind of running to the
Wally
podium
in the
for.
5th would honestly, I consider that to be good value.
Yeah.
And I can see it.
What else is the chat saying?
Wally or Roberts based on interest.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. Where do we want to go? Corner? Do we want to double dip at defensive line here? Or do we say defensive line later? As an option.
Well, let's see. Let's take a look at defensive
Because we got,
line.
what, 3 picks left?
Yeah, well, 2 after this one.
Right.
Cam Jackson could be there at 185 or 183, I think. 185. Maybe Peebles could be there. He's another bigger body.
Yeah, because we got Grant as a nose tackle. Peebles is more of a pass
And
rusher.
look at corner. I mean, some of these corners are actually pretty good. I mean, Justin Wally's good. I like Za Frazier. Upton Stout's a strong slot weapon.
Yep.
Could be a nice day 3 flyer. They're like, we drafted Zach Frazier. Why not Za or Zay? Is it Zay? Zay Frazier?
I'm not opposed to 2 Fraziers.
Go Jade Barron.
What?
Not well, obviously not here, and he'll be well off the board by then, man. He'll be in wherever he's gonna be selected. I'll say this about Jahdae Barron. If he's there at 21, you take him. I don't care what the hell you need. I don't care who's there.
You run to the podium.
If Jahdae Barron is there at 21, you take him.
There's no way, though.
There's no way he's there. But I'm telling you right now, if he is there, all I'm going to be thinking about is Barron.
Yeah.
And if they don't take him, I'll be a little upset.
They took him out to dinner, bro. That's more than enough interest, in my opinion.
Ethan, Jamari Caldwell went to
There you go.
the Titans, 141. Bummer.
Well, Dan Moore, have fun with him. Based
Rob-
on this mock.
Roberts is a 3.5. Yeah, and we already took, we took Grant. He's going to be the nose.
Yeah, we took a nose tackle.
He can, Grant can move to 3. He's versatile. He's bigger, but he's versatile.
Yes, Conley, swear jar.
So if we want to take a more of a 3 tech, someone a little more versatility along the line, Roberts is that. And they brought in 2 cats from SNU for top 30 visits.
They did.
Maybe we don't double dip a D line here.
You go corner here, maybe.
Barron cornerback 4.
Well, one's Hunter.
I think he's top 3.
You can make an argument he's 2. You can make that
I don't know, Will
argument.
Johnson's too good.
You can make that argument.
I study college, and I have spoken to scouts who think Barron is overhyped and may fall. Don't be shocked he falls past the Steelers. Well, if he falls past the Steelers, I'll be very upset that he's not a Steeler. Be very upset he's not a Steeler. If we're talking like all around pure corner, Will Johnson's number 1.
Yeah, I can understand that.
All right, we're gonna click all. These are some of the options here. Yeah, nothing's blowing me away. And like Somber said, based off interest, Roberts and Wally
Yeah.
and McCord. That's about it.
Do you want to pull it? Well,
Yeah.
considering it's 2, we could do a coin flip. Unless you want to just go with the poll.
Let's
That's
do
the
it.
theme.
Well, let's see what the chat says.
Will May fall past top 15 because of his turf toe.
I wouldn't be surprised if Barron's the second corner off the board if you include Travis Hunter in that. Remember when we didn't take Brian Thomas, Cooper DeJean, and Quinyon Mitchell? Yeah. And Christian Gonzalez. No, I don't think we take 2 quarterbacks, but I'm just saying, Khan did say he would like 4 quarterbacks. I don't think he's going to draft 2 quarterbacks because of it, but yeah, I'm thinking Roberts or Wally. One of the 2. There's a lot of linemen. You're right, Phil. A lot of linemen. I don't mind Bryce. I think he's got some nice versatility to him. Could be a little bigger in weight, but as a versatile piece along the line, the Steelers don't shy away from those.
Nope.
The Jets at 7 really like Jahdae Barron, inside source. Oh, God, really? They did lose DJ Reed.
Yeah, and getting a guy like Barron would be a great replacement.
No, they lost DJ Reed and Eccles.
Yeah, that's right. Of course.
They need a lot of things, but they're riding with Fields. They got their receivers. Yeah, I could very well see that. Harmon is falling due to health issues as well. People are afraid that he lost all of that weight too fast and might lead to issues. I believe Derek Bell
Of
said
Steelers
that.
DB said that.
I
yeah.
didn't hear any of
Neither
that.
did I. That's new to me, man.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
That is fresh news to me. I'm going to search that up right now because that's interesting. See, it's just these reports that pull in late.
That's what happened to Troy Fatanu. It happened late with Troy Fatanu about knee injuries, and the reason why he fell.
What happened with a lot of players?
Hell, Darnell Washington, people were concerned about knee issues, knee injuries, and Darnell soon as he was selected, he's like, yeah, no, my knee's fine. I didn't have an injury in my knee.
Right.
So some of these people, you know, like there may be some smoke to that fire there. Some people may just fall for these rumors or reports. And it leads to players falling. I don't know.
Interesting. Oh, that was yesterday? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear nothing about that. That's new to me. I like Benjamin Morrison. He would be just as good, if not better, than Will if he didn't tear his Achilles. He would be going top 10.
Okay, so according to Mike Garafolo, Derrick Harmon's medical concern is a shoulder injury.
Huh. Well, I'm going to throw this out there. Injury concerns leading into the draft, it doesn't shy Conaway from selecting them.
No, not at all.
It doesn't. As long as the medical team and the medicals pan out, as long as they're giving the thumbs up with the green flag, Omar Khan takes them because he knows the talent and the upside that they bring.
Right.
Happened to Fatano, happened with Peyton Wilson, happened to lots of talents.
That's something to keep an eye on. That is something to keep an eye on for sure. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. Harmon is likely to fall at 83? No way.
No, there's no way. No. Yeah, Summer says beware of the smoke screens, though. It's like, can the draft just get here already?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But let's get back to this.
Yeah, Roberts, or I guess I got to pull it, right?
Yeah, let's pull it. Let's pull it.
How about Walter Nolan or Malachi Starks at 21? I really like both. I like both too. I just don't know if the interest is there. I could see Walter Nolan based off Andy Weidel being there. I could still see Malachi Starks based off of them sending the house to the Georgia Pro Day. And they love their Bulldogs. So yeah, I guess the interest is there. Was this pick what? 156?
Yes.
So let's do Justin Wally. What's his name? Elijah Roberts.
Pull it.
Any other name I should add, or is that all good for you? We're just going to pull that, see what the chat says. 'Cause I feel like those are two more realistic options here. I want to take Murrow in first, trade back to get him in second. I still want to take him in the second. But it's a little more digestible.
What about Jihad Campbell?
Love Jihad Campbell. I just don't think the Steelers are going to take a linebacker.
No, they did take him out for a pro day dinner.
Yep.
They did do that, but linebacker isn't exactly a need, though.
No. They got Queen and Wilson.
And I think Campbell's a first rounder.
Oh, he's a stud. Bonafide dog right there.
Yeah.
Shady says, I like Nolan, but Steelers don't seem interested. No top 30 visit, nor a dinner. And we at Ole Miss Pro Day for Dart. Could be for Dart. They did bring in Pegues. Trey Harris was there. Obviously, Trey Amos. So they brought in some cats from Ole Miss for sure. 3 of them, as a matter of fact, but not Nolan.
Nope.
Very strange. Very strange.
Actually, I thought I saw something.
86% say Justin Wally. We're going to take Justin Wally here. I like that. All the way down to pick 185. Oh, Roberts is still there. Get out.
Okay.
Roberts is still there.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Guys, what are we thinking? We going Roberts?
Nolan left a bad taste in people's mouths by not working out. I saw that. Yeah.
Actually, Dan, look at this.
That was a massive red flag.
This just popped up on my Twitter. Look at this. According to percentiles versus interior defensive linemen, there's Harmon compared to Nolan.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Nolan's looks like a certain body part.
I'm glad we're not showing it.
They brought in what the hell's his name? Ya Black. I know who you're talking about. I can Yeha Black. I think I pronounced
Yeha
right.
Black out of Iowa. Yes. Can you tell we can't pronounce names?
No, we are so bad. Did I cuss again, Ryan? Yo.
Now, to be fair, I didn't hear it, but if you say so.
Well, listen, y'all put the swear jar emote in the chat.
He's the one keeping track. I'll give him that. Shout out to Ryan.
Jalen Walker or Michael Williams could fall. I could see that. But they're gonna go there? I don't know. We can still go a double dip here. Elijah Roberts. We can go Peebles. What else do we need? Holland Pierce is on the board for tackle if you want to go tackle. We didn't go O-line yet. Let's see. We went D-line. We went receiver. Went running back. Or receiver. Yeah, running back, receiver. Quarterback. Defensive back. Now, let's see. Safeties. Hoping Malachi Moore would have been there, but he's not.
No, he's taken. Damn.
Where's our? Let's look at tackles. I like Holland Pierce here. I really like Holland Pierce.
No, we gotta limit the swear jars, bro.
Yaya? Okay. I think it's pronounced Yaya. Okay. Yaya Black. Is he on the board? Did I completely pass him? He's not on the... Oh, he is. He's way down here. He's way down here.
Do you think Grant will be on the board at 21? I think it's a realistic possibility.
Ultimately, no, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, because I keep hearing him being talked about as a top 20 pick.
I mean, based off the tape and just how he was, I mean, I could see it. But I could also see him being there at 21.
Right.
You said the HE double hockey stick. Yes. Is that a swear? I don't consider that a swear.
All right, Chad, what are we thinking? Defensive line, we can go tackle, safety. Why is Sebastian Castro ranked so low?
That's a great question.
What type of crime is this?
I don't know.
Who did that?
I have Shiloh.
We got 351. Shiloh Sanders is a versatile safety known for his physicality and football intelligence. He exhibits excellent ball skills and a knack for creating turnovers, as evidenced by his 80-yard interception return for a touchdown against Colorado State. Sanders demonstrates a willingness to support the run, often delivering impactful tackles. However, concerns about his size and injury history, including a shoulder injury and an ACL tear, may affect his durability and effectiveness against larger opponents. Despite these challenges, his playmaking ability and NFL pedigree make him an intriguing prospect for teams seeking a dynamic presence in the secondary. I think you're being way too nice there.
Special teams guy at best.
Dude, look at No.
At best.
Let's look at D-line. Yeah, I see Jay bringing up Vernon Broughton from Texas.
Yeah, they did. Know your opinions. Great comment. You get it? Yes, now he got it.
That's funny.
Yes. Fabulous, bro. Fabulous.
Yeah, he's
You can hit it.
I will swear to that one.
He's not good. Written by Dion, maybe.
Had to be.
Maybe.
Had to be. Who's your favorite player in the whole draft? Mine is Abdul Carter, even though I'm a Penn State fan, so I'm biased. Carter is great. I really hope he doesn't get drafted by the Browns, though. That's my fear. I think he goes to the Browns.
Yeah, that would be a filthy duo, him and Garrett.
Well, I was thinking him and Watson, Brokeback Carter. Moving on.
All right, Danny.
Moving on. My favorite player out of the entire draft, I'll be real, it's probably Jahdae Barron.
I mean, there's a lot of players I like, man. I can't really pick one. It'd be so hard. There's a lot of talent I like.
I'm going to go Jahdae Barron, personally.
All right. Barron is good. Barron is good. Genty, yeah. Genty's up there.
Genty's phenomenal.
He's a dog.
I'm a Bama fan. I had to suffer through Milroe, bro. I mean, I'm sorry. I've watched his tape. I watched several games.
It's actually frustrating.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a Bama fan. Or a Millwall fan at that.
Mason Graham could fall to a spot Steelers are comfortable moving up for. I would hope so. And let's take this with a grain of salt. But Jerry Dulock did mention on the Rich Eisen show that there's 4 defensive linemen that the Steelers like. One of them is Mason Graham that they're anticipating not being there. But if there is a comfortable spot to move up, I think he's worth doing it.
I don't see Graham really falling far.
But what if he does?
Hey, man. If they can do it, but maybe for the right price. But Graham is great.
So let's pick all here.
Yeah, what are we doing here? We got 2 picks left.
2 picks. We can still double dip. We could. I don't know, man. We've addressed almost everything except O-line and maybe another defensive lineman.
Pierce right here would be nice.
Pierce, but there's Elijah Roberts.
I know.
And it's based off interest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We already went a big nose in Grant. If you want kind of like another Loudermilk or like a Leal type guy to challenge those guys, I think Roberts is your guy. Strong run defender, too.
A lot of versatility, yeah.
Says I would go defensive tackle or safety. Let's look at the safeties again. And nothing too crazy.
No, nothing.
I'll be 100%. I don't know much about Crawford or Roberts. I do like Wooler. Hunter Wooler, I do like him.
Maybe a 7th round option if he's there.
If he's there, which I don't know based off his ranking.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, like, Roberts is there.
Let's see. Let's look at guard. I see why they have Lampkin ranked so low because he's so small. I think a move to fullback would work good. Or you know, if Aaron Brewer can play in the league, why can't Lampkin? Yeah, he's too undersized, but so is Brewer.
Yeah.
And he's a starting center for the Dolphins, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I do like Pierce. My 2 picks right now are Pierce or Roberts.
Yeah. Do we want to pull that?
I saw a rumor about Steelers taking Josh Simmons, offensive tackle at Ohio State. That ain't happening.
No.
They're not taking 3 straight tackles.
No.
There's no way.
You're not taking a tackle in the 1st round when you have Broderick for 2 more years and Fatanu coming into a 2nd year.
That would make Broderick a wasteful pick. Very wasteful. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. I totally wouldn't do that. In fact, I predict him to be a Texan. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans move up for him. They need tackle. They need all the help they can get. Because my God, they traded anyone and everyone away.
Yep.
All right, let's add this poll to the chat. Why is this not working? There we go. Pick at 185. I'm thinking Roberts or Pierce based off of what we need and what we could target here. And depending on what we take, we'll see what's available at 229. So far, we got a 50-50 situation. I really like Banks Jr. Yeah, Calvin Banks.
Yeah.
He's going to make a team very happy. He might actually be a top 15 pick, actually. I don't think he falls too far. And if he does, I don't see him getting past the Cardinals if the Cardinals don't go D-line. All right, so we got 71% saying Roberts. 71% saying Roberts. Let's get a couple more polls in the chat to see if anything changes. See if they can sway the way for Pierce. Maybe Pierce falls. I don't know. You never know how these mocks are going to go, man. In fact, let me see. Who's the other SMU cat that they looked at? It was Jared Harrison Hunt.
Yep.
And obviously Elijah Roberts. Where did Hunt go? Is Hunt Hunt's still only on the board, is he?
I haven't seen that. I'm not sure. Can you say who you think Steelers will take at 21 versus who you want them to take? Jake, who I think the Steelers will take at 21, if he's there, it's Sanders. Shador. Who I want them to take.
Shiloh.
I had to, I had to make sure.
I
Who I want them to take, Harmon.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Now, if Harmon and Sanders aren't there, I think they trade back. Because I honestly couldn't tell you who the hell the pick would be.
Yeah. If both of them are gone, then yeah, I think it's preferred they trade back.
And if they let's say Harmon and Sanders aren't there, and then they do trade back, I think the pick is eventually going to be Henderson from Ohio State.
I could see that. I wouldn't hate it as long as they get a day 2 pick back.
Jake says, I want them to take Walter Nolan versus who I think they will take is Dart. Last year I told you guys we needed Brian Thomas Jr. and y'all needed a center. Well, we got the center. We just didn't get the receiver. I mean, not until this year.
Yeah.
Man, he was there too. Brian Thomas, he was there.
We'll see what Fatano can do.
We'll see what he can do.
I'm not looking to jump to conclusions yet.
Let's see. Elijah Roberts is getting the popular vote, so we're going to take Elijah Roberts. So that leaves 229 to be for anything. Literally anything. Safety, offensive line. Let's see who's on the board. Damn, Vernon Broughton's there.
Yep.
We already went defensive line twice. Dalton Cooper's solid. Jimmy Horn, if you want to go another receiver.
Yeah, we could.
Options don't look mind-blowing. I mean, it's the 7th round. They're not going to.
Do you think Tyler Warren would go as high as 5 to the Jaguars?
Well, the Jags have Evan Ingram.
Do they still have Ingram? I think they do. If I'm not mistaken, I think they still have Ingram.
No, he's a Bronco. When did that happen?
Oh, I forgot that happened, yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah, they need a tight end.
Yeah, so, yeah.
They also need, line help or defense. They need a lot, actually.
They'll probably add more. I didn't know Ingram was a Bronco. When did that happen? Anyway, yeah, I could see that.
I can see that. I can see Warren going to the Jets, most importantly.
I could also see, if he falls far enough, Warren could be a Colt, but that's, really living and hoping for Colts fans.
Living on a prayer, yeah.
Otherwise, I find it hard to fall out of the top 10. I could see the Jets definitely taking him. They need a tight end.
Yes, they do.
I could definitely see the Jets taking him. But, does he fall that far?
You never know, man.
Xavier Truss says Allen. That's an offensive lineman.
I think he's a guard.
Is he a guard? Oh, he is a guard from Georgia.
He's versatile, though. I know that.
Yep, Xavier Truss is a, by the way, that's a great name, is a versatile offensive lineman with significant experience across multiple positions, including left guard and right tackle. He demonstrates strong run blocking abilities, effectively utilizing his size and strength to create running lanes. In pass protection, Truss shows adequate footwork and hand placement, though there is room for improvement in handling speed rushers. His adaptability along the line enhances his value to teams seeking a flexible lineman. However, his lateral agility and consistency in pass protection against elite edge rushers remain areas for development. Truss's experience and versatility makes him a promising prospect for offensive line depth. But 6'7", 309 is like a bigger Spencer Anderson. I don't hate that. They love their Georgia linemen. They love their Georgia Bulldogs. I could see that.
They do.
I could see that. Based off of what else is available, you know what? I like that. We're going to go Xavier Truss to end this. Not too bad. I ain't gonna lie. I think it fell off a little bit after the Milroe pick, but we had to be honest and truthful to the chat and to the poll. We had to be, very consistent with that. But, I still feel like we got a decent haul here.
No, Grant's a hell of a player. Caleb Johnson's one of my favorite backs. Trey Harris is an outstanding wide receiver. And for that type of value, you can't beat it. Milroe, he's a good athlete. I'll give him that. Wally, he's an underrated cornerback. Roberts is a very talented, versatile defensive lineman. And Truss is a capable, versatile offensive lineman.
Yeah, I really like Grant, Johnson, Harrison, Wally, and Roberts mostly. Not the biggest fan of Murrow, and I do like the versatility of Truss. But yeah, I mean, I think we addressed defensive line twice. We got a very solid corner later on in the 5th round. We got our next running back. We got a big body receiver. Keep in mind, man, we don't have outside depth, and we don't know what the future holds for Pickens. So
Yeah.
never a bad idea to, prioritize that situation.
And plus, they love day 2 wide receivers.
But otherwise, yeah, this mock, pretty good, guys.
Solid.
I got to give you guys a round of applause. I got to give you guys props for that. The only issue I have is Murrow, but I had to be honest with the chat, man. But I kind of like this ranking better than PFN or better than PFF. I don't know how you guys feel. I prefer this over PFF, at least right now, based off their rankings. We might have to run this back tomorrow with another mock. Or maybe better yet, maybe we do a full 1st round mock to see your guys' opinions and see what all goes down there, especially at pick 21. Maybe we entertain a trade back situation. Maybe certain guys fall based off of your guys' opinions to the point that we just can't pass on a certain dude. Who got shook? Good question.
I don't know.
Had to be round 5. Well, round 3.
It'll be round 3, yeah.
Hi, Browns. Oh, man.
Man, something about them loving old quarterbacks.
And they got DJ Giddens. Who they get in the 2nd round? They don't have a 2nd round pick. Travis Hunter. Andy Mekabuka. Oh, y'all traded everything. Y'all desperate. Wow, man. That's crazy. I think yesterday got the trophy. I agree, Jay. But still a solid mock, man. If it ultimately came down to this, I wouldn't entirely hate it. Just based off of the fact that we got 3 great studs to start off. Very, very reminiscent of 2017, man. In 2017, not the greatest class, but we did get TJ Watt out of it. So
Yes, sir.
can't hate it entirely. I think you guys did a very good case there. PFF is more realistic in most cases as far as what players go, where rankings on both are questionable. I guess we'll just have to figure out for tomorrow. But tomorrow, man, we will be live again. Same time, same place, similar discussion. Only it'll be solely based off of the 1st round in the pick, potentially at 21, or if they trade back. We'll be discussing all the options, the trade back scenarios, what teams we could trade back for, everything regarding the 1st round of the draft for the Steelers, because 2 nights away, 48 hours away from finding out who the Steelers' next pick is going to be, man. Draft is right here, right around the corner, not too far along. Tomorrow we'll be live again to discuss the 1st round. So appreciate you guys for tuning in on this live stream. We appreciate you guys, as always, joining us on another live stream. Can't wait to do it again tomorrow. Appreciate you guys. Rob, anything you want to say before we get on out of here, man?
Yeah, man, we're getting closer to draft day, bro. We're just 2 short days away. We're just inching closer by the second. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I wish it was tomorrow, but
Me too.
We got to wait an extra day, but it's almost here. It's almost here. I'm excited. I just based off all the rumors and the possible smoke screens and the speculation of Sanders and Harmon and Milrow and all the other prospects. I just want the draft to be here just so we know, all right, who's the next break to Pittsburgh
all
Steelers.
these mocks, all this speculation can be thrown out the window, but we got to deal with it for just a little bit more.
Just a little bit
Just
more.
a little bit more to drive us a little extra crazy. Gotta love the draft process.
Yeah, but tonight was fun. Tonight was a great discussion. We discussed the offense prospects, the offensive prospects. We discussed the defensive prospects. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about all 1st-round prospects linked to the Steelers, trade back scenarios. We're going to be back here tomorrow night for another live stream. And thank you guys for tuning in, man.
I agree. So tomorrow, we're going to discuss the 1st-round prospects. There might be more than you guys are thinking of. We're going to be writing down as many 1st-round prospects as that we can think the Steelers could take based off of their interest, based off of the rankings, the 1st-round grades, everything. We're going to do a full breakdown on that player and the options, and maybe the options of what they could be taken at beforehand. Maybe they don't make it to pick 21, such as guys like Sanders or Dart or Harmon. We'll discuss all that. So at the end of the day, here we go, Steelers. Appreciate you guys as always. If you're new, hit that like, hit that subscribe on your way out, and see you tomorrow night for the 1st round pick 21 discussion regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who could the Steelers pick in the 1st round? See you tomorrow night, man.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe. And we'll see you later.
Peace.